That there's something wrong with the world. You don't know what it is, but it's there. You can feel it.
Get up on out the bed, start to move your balls. Pick up a word, it's Solomon Jones. Word. You better wake up now.
Good morning. This is Solomon Jones on 900 AM, 96.1 FM, WURD, and I want to welcome you to another edition of Wake Up with Word. Well, Kuwait, the world keeps turning and it keeps getting crazier and crazier because our Philadelphia Eagles, they've done what they needed to do, and they'll start rookie Jalen Hurts over Carson Wentz this week when they play the New Orleans Saints. Doug Peterson made the announcement on the team's website, and while Eagles fans rejoiced, for me there was a sadness about it too. You hate to see someone fail when you know they're doing their best, when they're trying and it's just not working, when they can't seem to find their way. It's like that for all of us sometimes, and when that happens, we need time to gather ourselves to reassess our approach, and sometimes we need to sit down and just breathe. I'm hoping Carson Wentz will get back to being the quarterback he was, but for now I'm pulling for Jalen Hurts to be successful. The young brother deserves that much. We got a hot show for you today on Wake Up with Word. Temple Professor Lynn Washington on the anniversary of Mumia Abu-Jamal's arrest. Adam Marrels of Leading Age PA on the state illegally withholding coronavirus funds meant for nursing homes. Gerald Walker on his new book, How to Make a Slave, and our On Light event later on tonight. Plus, your favorite cousin of mine, dear Melanie, is back. She's live, and she has another hilarious answer to one of life's biggest questions. And as always, we've got you, our listeners, calling in at 215-634-8065 or toll free 1-866-361-0900. Hit us on Twitter and Instagram at onWURD, or you can hit me personally at Solomon Jones 1. Watch us on Facebook at forward. But first, it's the big three, the news stories you need to know to kick off your day right here on Wake Up with Word. Story number one, the Supreme Court on Tuesday denied a request from Pennsylvania Republicans to block certification of the Commonwealth's election results, delivering a near-fatal blow to the GOP's long-shot bid to invalidate President-elect Joe Biden's victory. The Supreme Court's action is a crushing loss for Trump, who has frequently touted the high court's potential to overturn his election loss. Just hours before the court's order was released, Trump made a direct appeal to state officials and members of the Supreme Court to assist him in his efforts to subvert the will of the voters, as he continually and falsely suggested there was massive voter fraud during the election. Let's see whether or not somebody has the courage, whether it's legislators or legislatures or a justice of the Supreme Court or a number of justices of the Supreme Court, Trump said. Let's see if they have the courage to do what everybody in this country knows is right. No, everybody in this country already did what they knew was right. They voted you out. You're gone. The jig is up. Get out. Hasta la vista. You know, however you want to say it. Beat it. How about that? The Supreme Court said no, Kuwait. They said no.
As they should say no. Yeah. That's what they need to be doing. They are not, they're here for these here United States, not for him as the like, come on. It's really getting old at this point. I'm so tired of hearing him talk day in and day out. Just, be a man, put your big boy pants on, and bow out. You can't even bow out gracefully at this point. So just have several seats and go somewhere. That's how I feel. Like, seriously, let it go.
I know. It's so embarrassing. It's embarrassing, I think, for all of us, man, to watch him doing this foolishness. But we're going to talk about it a little bit more as the show goes on. Story number two, Philadelphia could receive its first doses of the long-awaited coronavirus vaccine as soon as next week and begin inoculating healthcare workers on the front line, officials said Tuesday. The city, like the state and the country, will be able to vaccinate only a fraction of its population at first, as the country awaits the anticipated federal approval this week of the Pfizer vaccine. Philadelphia Health Commissioner Thomas Farley told residents that for now, they remain safer at home. Philadelphia was seeing the predicted post-Thanksgiving spike in new infections, as well as rising case numbers in nursing homes. 50 long-term care residents with the virus have been moved to the city's COVID-19 relief unit to prevent further spread. statewide, Pennsylvania reported more than 10,000 new cases of the virus for the fourth time in 6 days. And the day after, Pennsylvania Governor Tom Wolf gave a dire warning that the state's hospitals could be overwhelmed by the impact of the virus. Delaware Governor John Carney reported that more coronavirus patients are now hospitalized in his state than at any other time during the pandemic. This is serious. Philadelphia, of course, got a population of about 1.5 million, but we'll just get tens of thousands of doses at first. And those, of course, are going to go to those who work in the medical field and are exposed all the time. Kawesa, it's getting serious.
Yeah, it is getting serious, and I'm glad that, you know, some of our frontline workers are going to be the first to get this vaccine because they need it. They definitely do. I mean, we are in serious times right now. We are eerily inching closer and closer to 300,000 deaths here in the United States, and that is so scary. To me, this is single-handedly one of the worst legacies that Donald Trump will be leaving when he leaves this office. And so, you know, I'm just, constantly praying for everyone who's impacted and affected by the coronavirus, and really just hoping that we can start to see an end to all of this with the vaccine coming out.
Yeah, I agree wholeheartedly. And speaking of the legacy of Donald Trump, he has left a mess, and they're trying to make it worse by doing old tricks in Georgia. Story 2A, 4 of the 10 most populous counties in Georgia are reducing the number of locations where people can vote early in the state Senate runoff races, prompting outcry from civil rights and voting rights organizations. In Cobb County, the state's third most populous county with more than 760,000 residents, the election officials have announced 5 early voting locations, fewer than half of the 11 used for early voting ahead of last month's general election. Advocates warn that the reduction of early voting sites will particularly harm Black and Latino voters in the state by making it harder to access the polls. In an interview with the Washington Post, Cobb County Elections Director Janine Eveler said she didn't have the staff to run more early voting sites. Turnout in runoff races is typically far lower than it is in general elections, but the stakes are much higher this time as party control of the U.S. Senate will be decided by the state's 2 Senate contests on January 5th. Part of the reason why they say they have to close these sites is because they just did these 2 recounts, including one requested by the Trump campaign, and it put a big dent in their budgets. Are you buying it, Kawesa?
I mean, I'm buying the fact that they had to pay all this money to pay folks to do a recount, but at the end of the day, like, we have to look at the fact that Black and brown voters are the ones who are going to be supremely impacted by them closing these early voting sites down. And so we keep saying it all the time, but if, voting wasn't so important, they wouldn't be fighting so hard to take it away from us. So do what you have to do.
Yep, absolutely. You are absolutely right, which brings me to story number 3, my commentary for the day from my column in the Philadelphia Inquirer. The mayor and city council say they have a plan to reduce poverty, and maybe that's true. If the plan is to force out the poor by spending $400 million to boost gentrification. If you're poor, you probably won't be getting any of that money. Instead, it'll go to continuing tax breaks for developers, giving jobs to the building trades, and placing a construction tax on everybody except those who can most afford to pay it. I hope I'm wrong, but I don't think the so-called Neighborhood Preservation Initiative is going to put a dent in poverty. I do think it's going to help the rich. Here's why. The whole deal is based on delaying the plan to get rid of the 10-year tax abatement, a tax break that allows whiter, richer people to move into newly constructed houses while paying only a fraction of their property taxes. About 55% of property taxes are supposed to go to the school district. But our city would rather give that money to rich folks than use it to educate Black and brown kids. So developers get to keep the tax abatement, the unions get to keep working, and the folks who buy $1 million homes in the hood get to pay less taxes than you do. There will be a 1% construction tax, though, but not for commercial construction. So if you're rich enough to build office buildings, don't worry, you won't be paying no stinking 1% construction tax. In the words of Donald Trump, that makes you smart. So who gets the $400 million? Some will go to the building trades union to construct affordable housing. Some will go to help people pay rent. Maybe some stores will get new awnings, but the money won't go to the poor. That's a shame, because borrowing $400 million to end poverty and giving the money to the rich is a sucker's game, and I don't want to play it anymore. I want to hear from you. Give me a call, 215-634-8065. That is 215-634-8065. That is the number you can call to get in on the conversation right here at WURD Radio. I want to hear from you. The Supreme Court, of course, denying a request from Pennsylvania Republicans. And here's the thing. Here's the thing that really should be concerning to us is that Republicans in our state are the ones who went to the Supreme Court and said, throw out everybody's votes, disenfranchise everybody because we don't like who won. This feels to me like the last gasp of white supremacy. It really does, because I have never in my life seen anything like this where you actually have people, including the President of the United States, trying to disenfranchise millions of Americans who voted. I mean, everybody. We don't like the fact that white people voted for him. We don't like the fact that black people voted for him. We don't like the fact that our white supremacist leader got kicked out of office. And so we're going to try to go to the Supreme Court with some nonsense to disenfranchise millions and millions of people. I want to know what you guys think about that, because I think this, that Donald Trump thought, I'm going to put these 3 people on the Supreme Court and they are going to do my bidding because I put them there. What he doesn't realize is this, or maybe what he didn't think about is this: there's nothing he can do to them once they're there. They are there for life. They don't have to listen to you. They don't have to do your bidding. They don't have to express gratitude to you. They have to do what they think is right. And sometimes, guess what? What they think is right, we're going to think is wrong. But this time they said, no, we can't do that. This is your foolishness that you're doing. That's on you, boo. You know what I mean? That's what they saying. Like, nah, we are not being involved in this foolishness. And so I want to know what you guys think about that as well. And also, Philadelphia getting its first doses of this long-awaited coronavirus vaccine. It's coming next week, and they're going to begin inoculating healthcare workers on the front line. When it gets to the point where you can get the vaccine, are you going to take it? I want to know what you think. Give me a call, 215-634-8065. That is 215-634-8065. They're trying to cheat people out of their votes in Georgia with those Senate runoffs. Remember, John Ossoff, Raphael Warnock, those are the names you really need to be supporting in Georgia. It is that important for the future of our country. It's so important that they're closing down early voting sites in Georgia. It's the same trick they pulled on Stacey Abrams. They're doing it again, and I want to know what you think about that. And, of course, the $400 million plan to end poverty is really, in my view, from what I can see, a $400 million plan to boost gentrification. You say that you're going to slowly get rid of the tax abatement, right, over a period of years, and then suddenly you reverse that and say, nah, we're not really going to do that. We're going to temporarily extend it. Well, temporary extensions can go on forever, right? I just need y'all to understand that. And so you got that. And then you got a 1% construction tax that's on everything and everybody except for commercial construction. So if you got a whole lot of money and you can build, commercial construction, then you don't have to pay that 1% construction tax. But if you're a homeowner, you got some extra money, you want to put an extension on your house, or you want to do some major construction, you got to pay it. Is that right? I want to know what you think about that as well, because the bottom line is this, that putting a 1% construction tax on everybody except those who can really afford to pay it, extending the 10-year tax abatement, and then claiming that the $400 million that you're going to raise through a bond and pay back through poor people's taxes is somehow going to stop poverty. Well, I need to see the fine print. Because from what I can see, what it means is that the building trades are going to continue to work. It means that developers are going to continue to make money hand over fist. And it means that the richest of the rich who are developing commercial properties won't be affected at all. Right? And if you're taking the money and you're building housing, well, let's think about what it takes to buy a house, right? I've been through that process a couple of times, right? What it takes to buy a house is this. You have to have a work history, right, that they can trace back for a few years. You have to have a salary that says you can afford all of your bills plus a mortgage. You have to have a credit score that makes you a minimal risk for the bank. And you have to have some savings in order to put down a down payment. Now, you have to have all of those things, right? And so you're building a house for somebody poor who doesn't necessarily have all of the things that they need to get the house anyway. So, like, who does that help? And I took a look at some of the qualifications, right, for some of our housing programs. And for one of them, I think it's called the Philly First Housing Program, you can make $81,000 as an individual and still qualify for that program. Is that poor? Because where I come from, you make $80,000 as an individual, you ain't poor. If you're a family of 4, you got 2 adults, 2 kids, you can make $115,000. You're not poor. So who is that for? Who does it benefit? Because it doesn't necessarily benefit the poor who don't necessarily have bank accounts or a down payment or long work histories or good credit. Like, who does it benefit to build people houses when the poor people can't afford them anyway and don't have the qualifications to get them? Real talk. You know, when you really get down to brass tacks, who is that for? Unless you're getting $400 million and you're going to put the money straight into people's hands, who is it for? I want to know. Give me a call, 215-634-8065. That is 215-634-8065. You know, you make these backroom deals. Y'all making deals and going to the building trades and asking them, is this okay with you? Going to the developers and saying, is this okay with you? But nobody came to the people and said, is this okay with y'all? Nobody came to the people and said, you know what? What is the best way for us to eliminate poverty? Putting awnings on stores on commercial strips? Are you kidding me? Come on, man. No, the people need money. That's why we have 25% poverty in the city of Philadelphia. That's why it's concentrated in black and brown communities. This is wrong, and I got to call it out. I have to call it out because that's the right thing to do, right? And so, you know, I just need to know who is going to get the money. That's my question. It's been my question from the beginning. If, in fact, this is an anti-poverty program, who gets the money? From what I see, the developers get the money, the building trades get the money, you know, the city gets the money, but the poor people don't get the money. So how is that an anti-poverty program? You are poor literally because you don't have money. If it doesn't put money into the pockets of poor people, it is not an anti-poverty program. We're going to talk about it on the other side of this break. I'm Solomon Jones. This is WURD. We'll be right back.
What's up, Philly? It's Solomon Jones. The school year is underway, but never before has that experience come in so many shapes and sizes. Is the education of your child being left to a smattering of clumsy, in-person, and virtual instruction? The COVID-19 crisis has created a market for untested virtual teaching models lacking true credibility. Maybe it's time to reconsider and check out Commonwealth Charter Academy. Here are the benefits to your family. 1. An online education provided at no cost to you, complete with laptop, headset, and help with internet access. 2. Partnership with the market leader in cyber education with a nearly 20-year track record of world-class learning. 3. Delivery of a safe, reliable, and comfortable education experience over the internet directly to the confines of your living room. Visit ccaeducate.me today and discover the gold standard of cyber education. That's ccaeducate.me.
As a business owner, hiring and developing people from the community that your company serves is one of the best ways to show commitment to that community. Let WURD Radio help with Livelihood, our new initiative that connects Philadelphians with companies like yours. We'll feature your business, open employment opportunities, and resources to connect your company with talent and ensure that you reach your target demographic. To learn more about how Livelihood can help you build your team, visit wordworks.com. That's WURDworks.com.
Work, 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 work. It's the
Livelihood is supported by the Nightland Fest's Local News Transformation Fund, Borealis Philanthropies Racial Equity and Journalism Fund, and the Solutions Journalism Network.
Now's your chance to watch the best new play of the season at home. Philadelphia's Wilma Theater is now streaming the thrilling drama Heroes of the Fourth Turning until December 13th. Four friends reuniting at their Catholic college in Wyoming as they wait for the arrival of their mentor. Secret passions and fears surface, revealing their troubled place in a divided country. The New York Times raves that Heroes of the Fourth Turning is astonishing. To stream the Wilma Theater's production of Heroes of the Fourth Turning tonight, visit wilmatheater.org.
With Internet Essentials from Comcast for only $9.95 a month, you get more. High-speed home internet service included. Peace of mind with X-Fi Advanced Security included. Access to millions of X-Fi Wi-Fi hotspots, that's included too. Internet Essentials from Comcast brings you affordable, high-speed internet to your home for only $9.95 a month. When you're connected, you're ready for anything. Visit InternetEssentials.com for more information. Taxes extra. Restrictions apply.
Now, a traffic update on WURD Radio.
Good morning. This report sponsored by Staples Stores. Busy ride, Schuylkill Expressway westbound now through construction. University through the Vine. You're at a jam. Then delays around the curve to Conshohocken, eastbound Montgomery through Spring Garden. Bit of a slow ride there. Again, some slowing between South Street and University Avenue. Westbound Vine Parkway through the Schuylkill Expressway delays. Southbound 95 jam Cobman down through Bridge through construction. Again, Betsy Ross through Girard. Northbound moving fine. 55 northbound Deptford into 42. A bit of a busy ride there now. Staples has cards and invitations to help you connect with clients and loved ones. Choose from hundreds of holiday templates to customize. Now get 30% off custom holiday cards and invitations. Offer ends 12/19/20, limit 1. Visit staples.com/holiday cards or store for details. Staples. For more traffic information, log on to SIGAlert.com. Jim Bachman with your Philadelphia area traffic.
It's Wake Up with WURD, hosted by Solomon Jones. Right now on WURD Radio, 96.1 FM and 900 AM WURD.
Good morning. This is Solomon Jones on 900 AM, 96.1 FM, WURD, and I want to welcome you back to Wake Up with WURD. We're taking your calls at 215-634-8065. That is 215-634-8065. Gail from the Northeast is on line one. Good morning, Gail.
Good morning, Solomon. I just want to say you are dead on because they are going now with the full court press on TV, on radio, even heard on the stations about selling this thing about them giving low-cost housing. And you have to really think. People have to really think. If they're going to such lengths, how low is it? How low is it? Because most of the time when they have low to medium income housing, it's rarely ever known. By the time you know it, everybody snatched it up. I mean, it's just the way it is. And the bottom line, we have to sit up here and listen to this, and they literally are trying to give Philadelphians that live here the shaft again and again. And and to me, people have to be aware. We have to start calling even more. Yeah, and I think they're taking, no, I don't even say think. They are taking full advantage of the pandemic because they know people can't come out or they're not coming out. You say it's increasing and all the things that are happening. So you know people are confined, so let's get as much done in deceitfulness as we can and then say, oh, well, nobody said anything. Nobody did anything. Well, you can at this point. And to sit up there and another thing, to sit up there and see what the 45 and the Republicans are doing is a disservice, and really it makes you want to holler. I mean, like Marvin Gaye.
In the words of Marvin Gaye, Lord have mercy.
Why are we going through the same thing over and over again with the and you know what? I point to the governor and all them. They couldn't give it to Trump openly, so this is what we're going to do. We're going to set up these counties. We're going to say, and it's not the people's fault that you did that. Y'all should have made him, or they should have made him. Y'all have to put up some money because now we have to pay these people. I know there's people, the property down there, they'll say, we'll volunteer. We'll volunteer to come in on those polls.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's not.
Yeah.
It's not. That's not a done deal because
Yeah.
this is ridiculous. Have a blessed day, and your.
All right. All right. Well, I want to thank you, Gail, for your call on WURD radio. So, yeah, I just think that when you think about poverty, people are poor because they don't have money, and they don't have houses because they're poor. And so, why are you offering people who don't have money houses? And who are you paying to build the houses? See, that my bottom line is this: who gets the money? Who gets the money? You know what I mean? So the building trades get the money to build the houses. That's who gets the money. So don't tell me about you gonna give me a house and I ain't got no money. Like, that's ridiculous. It's ridiculous. And it needs to be called out. It needs to, we just need to just walk through it. Anybody who's ever bought a house, you know that you need these 4 things, right? You need a down payment, which means that you have to save up some money, right? Okay, say they're gonna pay your down payment for you. Okay, all right. Well, you still need a job with a multi-year work history. You also need to have a good credit score in order to get the loan. So you got to have, and here's the other thing you have to have, a salary that indicates that you can actually pay back the loan. Like, that's how a mortgage works, man. So how are you going to give a house to somebody who doesn't qualify, unless it's going to be just like the Philadelphia First House program, where you can make $81,000. Well, then you're not poor. You understand what I'm saying? So how does this benefit poor people? I'm not the sharpest pencil in the stack. I don't know everything, but I do know what it takes to buy a house. And I do know what the restrictions are on the programs that Philadelphia already has in place. They're not necessarily just for poor people. You got a family of 4, y'all making 6 figures, y'all doing all right. You're not poor. I hate to break it to you. So who is this really for? Who really benefits from it? Who gets the money? Not who gets the house, not who gets the debt, not who gets the loan. Who gets the money? If you can answer that question for me and tell me it's poor people, then cool, it's an anti-poverty program. But if law firms are getting the money to work on the bond issue to borrow the $400 million, if developers are getting the money to put the projects in place to build these houses, if the building trades are getting the money to actually build the houses, then guess what? It's not an anti-poverty program. It's a pro-rich people program. If poor people don't actually get the money, then who is it really for? Okay, you're going to put some new facades on commercial strips. That is needed, and that's fine. It's not a problem, but don't call it an anti-poverty program, because it's not. You know what I'm saying? Come on, man. Y'all going to get to go to the store and spend more money in a store that looks nicer. That's nice. We need that. I'm not saying we don't. But don't call it an anti-poverty program, because it puts no money in the pockets of the poor. Poverty is literally the lack of money, not the lack of a house, not the lack of a loan, not the lack of another debt. It's the lack of money. So if the money doesn't go to the poor people, it's not an anti-poverty program. It's a housing program to employ the same building trades unions that freeze black people out. Real talk. I'm just being honest about it. You know what I mean? Now, y'all can pass it. Y'all do whatever you want. But that doesn't make it something that it's not. Jim from West Philly is on line 1. Go ahead, Jim.
Yes, Solomon. Well, I think you got a history on programs. Remember Neighborhood Transformation Initiative?
Yep.
Where they were going to do so much? Well, that was years ago. You measure what was said was going to be done and what actually was done. It was a program to demolish so-called vacant buildings and to build houses and clean up the lots. Well, what I saw, they did clean up lots. They got rid of the abandoned cars, But why we still need housing today if that was so transformational?
It was transformational. What it did was it laid the groundwork for people to come in and build new housing, just not for us. That's what it did. You know, there was one organization in North Philly that did housing that was actually, you know, for the people who lived there, and that was Beach Interplex. They built thousands of houses around Cecil B. Moore Avenue and around that whole area that actually went to people who looked like you and me. But then after that, the gentrifiers came in and they began to build, you know, housing that was for Temple students in the area. You remember that?
Yeah.
They came in and they bought up all kinds of stuff and literally were telling people in the neighborhood, oh, well, this is student housing. That's housing discrimination, man. You know, if I got the down payment and I got the first, last, and security, I should be able to move in whether I'm a student or not. You understand what I'm saying? Like all kinds of stuff. And then after the student housing, well, then after that came the housing for those who were gentrifying, and they got 10-year tax abatements. Meanwhile, grandmom living next door, she paying her whole property tax. Like, don't tell me that it's an anti-poverty program. And to your point, Jim, all of this set up by previous programs that really did not benefit the people who live in these communities. They didn't.
Why would this one be different?
Yeah. Yeah.
But I just thought people kind of forgot about things that had happened because time kind of fades your memory. But they transformed it all right. That's definitely what they did, but they just didn't transform it for us. And I speak because I bought my first house when I was 19. Mm-hmm. So, and I owned one ever since. So I know the fight to do that. I mean, you can't even rent an apartment if you ain't got a decent credit score and job.
That's right.
That's right. Buy a house. So that's all I got to say today.
You are absolutely right. And see, this is why all we got to do, just have some common sense. You ain't got to know everything. But if you've ever bought a house, even if you rent an apartment these days, and Jim is absolutely right, you got to have your first, your last, and your security just to rent an apartment. You got to have a decent credit score because a good landlord is going to look into that credit score. You got to have a job and a job history. That's just to rent an apartment. You talking about buying a house? You have to have a job. You have to have a history at that job. If you haven't been at the job long enough, guess what? They won't count the income from that job. They'll say, what income do you have that you've had for the last 2 or 3 years? How do we know that you're going to keep your job? What's your salary history at your job? Have you gotten raises at your, like they looking into all of that. So if you're poor, how you going to buy a house and keep it? Even if they give you everything, okay, we're going to build the house. We're going to pay the building trades and the developers to build the house, so they're going to get paid. We're going to help you with your down payment. Okay, do I have a work history? Do I have a salary history where my salary is going up instead of down, right? Do I have a credit score that shows that I pay my bills? Like all of that stuff, that's what you need to buy a house. So who gets the money? And who gets the house? Because guess what? When I looked at Philadelphia's Housing First program, the help people buy their first house, you can make $81,000 as an individual and qualify for that program. Is it going to be the same thing for this? Because if it is, guess what? That's not for poor people. Real talk. Real talk. So I want to hear from you. Give me a call, 215-634-8065. That is the number you can call to get in. Stanley from North Philly is online, too. Go ahead, Stanley.
Solomon, good morning to you and to the audience.
Good morning.
I have to thank you again, and I couldn't leave you out there by yourself on this particular topic, Solomon, because it's the same soup warmed all over, selling us something with illusion and trickery. And the bad part of it, they doing it on the back of those who are poor, bringing in illusion that you're giving somebody something. And history, data, statistics, and what we just finished talking about prove that those who have been eaten off the city treasury with these type of programs continue to do that, and they keep continuing to bringing it to us, Solomon, under illusion, that deceptiveness. Let me call it what it is. It's deception. You can't call that $400 million bond that you get ready to put forth on the ballot. You're doing commercials now to prop people psychologically to accept something that hasn't even been vetted through the community to see what it is and what you bring into it. I'm telling you the deception, and I coined another terminology. Instead of police brutality, we got political brutality going on in the city of Philadelphia, and nobody's speaking to it in that terms because it caused just as much harm as the police brutality when you see what they're bringing and what we're getting, and the poverty level is getting low, and people need some help. We need some real resources for the people, and you keep putting it in brick and mortars that we can't even eat off of, Solomon. So I say this, man, listen, I don't call it often, but when you hit topics like this, it hit my spirit because we know our people need some help, and the politicians is giving everybody help but the people who need it in these instances like this, Solomon. And I thank you, man, from the bottom of my heart for even talking about it and having the courage to talk about it because a lot of people don't.
Thank you, Brother Stanley. I appreciate that. And, you know, I think the bottom line is this, right? We need to talk about who gets the money. And that really is, you know, because when you talk about poverty, poverty means a lack of money, a lack of resources. That's what poverty is. And so if you're not helping me to get more money, then it's not an anti-poverty program. Housing is a deep thing, man, because you got people right now living in gentrifying communities, right? Who the value of their houses has gone up exponentially, right? It's doubled, it's tripled, right? But because they don't have income and they don't have a good credit score, they can't take equity out of their house. Now, equity is the value that you have in your house that's yours. You don't owe it to the bank, that's yours. You should be able to borrow money based on that equity you have in your house. But in gentrifying communities, you got people who live in houses they bought for $20,000 when the property wasn't worth a whole lot because the community was jacked up. But now that the community is gentrifying, the house is now worth $300,000, but they can't borrow money on their house because they don't have the salary, the credit score, the income, the work history to be able to qualify for that loan. So they sitting on $300,000 that they can't get access to. Meanwhile, the white person that just moved in aren't paying their full taxes on the house, can take out equity on the house if they need to. Like, it's not right. So if you're really trying to help people with poverty, why then do a housing program? Unless it's not really for the poor. Unless it's really for the people who are going to get paid off of that. It's for the law firms that are going to work on the bond issue. It's for the developers who are going to build the housing. It's for the building trades that are going to keep working. Like, they going to walk away with money. You're going to walk away, if you even get that house, with debt. So how's it an anti-poverty program? We're going to go to break. On the other side, we're going to take your calls at 215-634-8065. Y'all can borrow $400 million. Give the money to the people. We're going to talk about it on the other side. I'm Solomon Jones. We'll be right back.
Man, this coronavirus has us all moving differently.
No doubt. Like washing our hands more and social distancing with the crew. I'm always telling people to give me 6 feet. We're here, Grandma.
There's my babies. Good to see you got your mask on.
Wear mask. Stop the spread. For more information, visit www.pa.gov/COVID.
Paid for with Pennsylvania taxpayer dollars.
Listen to Laborers Live.
We created the weekend. We created the 40-hour work week. We just want enough to feed our family, be able to send our children to college, and let our next generation do better than we did.
To people that might have forgot how important unionism is in a country like the United States. People now infringing on our 8-hour workday, trying to work people more than 8 hours without overtime, trying to work people without benefits. In the long run, everybody's getting a fat paycheck except the worker. So this is really a wake-up call for America.
The struggle is continuous. Tune in to Laborers Live every Friday from 4 to 5 p.m. Sponsored by LESIT, the Laborers Employers Cooperation Education Trust of the Laborers District Council of Philadelphia and vicinity.
Local 332, Sam Staton Jr. Business Manager. Local 57, Esteban Vera Business Manager. Local 135, Dan Woodall Jr. Business Manager. Local 413, James Harper Jr. Business Manager. The Laborers District Council, Ryan Boyer Business Manager, and Tony Staton, Executive Director of LESIT.
WURD Radio presents the following wellness tip to support our listeners with mindfulness and motivation as we continue to navigate the pandemic together.
Hi, this is Halana, your resident health and wellness coach, with tips to help you stay well. By definition, inspiration is something that gives us new and creative ideas. We often believe that we only need inspiration when we have a goal or a project in mind. However, getting inspired can be easy with a little practice. Try this. Number 1, write down exactly what you truly desire in your life. Number 2, think about solutions to hurdles and challenges you face. Number 3, think about the next best step in your current situation. Staying inspired requires thought, intention, and space to be creative. In fact, allowing inspiration to be present in our lives is something we can practice every day. Go ahead and try. Stay well with WURD. Happy living.
Stay well with WURD. Connect with us at WURDradio.com.
Have you heard about City Council's plan to build more affordable housing, repair existing homes, create jobs, and support small business? The Neighborhood Preservation Initiative will invest $400 million in Philly communities. Read about it at www.phlcouncil.com/NPI.
Now, a traffic update on WURD Radio.
Good morning. This report sponsored by Staples Stores. Looking at southbound 95, you're going to find that jamming. Cotman down through Bridge, through construction again. Betsy Ross through Girard, busy. Westbound Vine Expressway, delays Ben Franklin Parkway through the Schuylkill Expressway. Schuylkill westbound, you're jamming. University through the Vine, through that work zone. West of that, jam from City Avenue out through Gladwin eastbound. Delays, you're going to find a heavy from the Conshohocken curve to Belmont. Accident there now. Then you're jammed again from Montgomery through Spring Garden, 55 northbound, Deptford into 42, still busy. Staples has cards and invitations to help you connect with clients and loved ones. Choose from hundreds of holiday templates to customize. Now get 30% off custom holiday cards and invitations. Offer ends 12/19/20, limit 1. Visit staples.com/holiday cards or store for details. Staples. For more traffic information, log on to sigalert.com. Jim Bachman with your Philadelphia area traffic.
It's Wake Up with WURD, hosted by Solomon Jones. Right now on WURD Radio, 96.1 FM and 900 AM WURD.
Good morning. This is Solomon Jones on 900 AM, 96.1 FM, WURD. And do you want to buy black for the holidays? Well, we got you covered. WURD Radio is proud to present our virtual holiday marketplace online. Support local, small, black-owned businesses through the marketplace and purchase your holiday gifts today. Go to wordradio.com/marketplace or wordworks.com/marketplace. So we want to hear from you. Give us a call, 215-634-8065. We're talking about a number of things, including the fact that the Supreme Court, with 3 of Donald Trump's nominees to that court, have denied a request from Pennsylvania Republicans to block certification of the Commonwealth's election results, delivering a near fatal blow to the GOP's long shot bid to invalidate President-elect Joe Biden's victory. You know, this is really sad to see that you got a whole political party that either would actively participate in or stand by and watch as the President of the United States and his allies try to disenfranchise 80 million people who voted for Joe Biden. You lost by probably 7 million votes. And you trying to disenfranchise the people, man. You know, when he gets out, he needs to be held to account for this. He needs to be held to account for this because this is it's a crime. You know what I mean? Like, you are literally trying to overturn the will of the people in a democracy, and Republicans are either actively participating in that or standing by and watching it happen and not saying anything. Now, ironically, the one Republican that I saw actually say something about how egregious and how wrong this is Pat Toomey. Pat Toomey is a U.S. Senator from the state of Pennsylvania, but he's not running again. They scared to say something because they are more worried about holding on to that office than they are about doing what's right. What good are you to the people? If the only thing you're worried about is your sorry self, what good are you to the people? Whether they're the Republican people, the Democratic people, you're no good to the American people if you're more worried about yourself than the people you're paid to represent. We're going to talk about that. But also, Philadelphia could receive its first doses of the long-awaited coronavirus vaccine as soon as next week and begin inoculating healthcare workers on the front lines. Of course, in Georgia, another attempt to disenfranchise people, closing down early voting locations in Georgia, in 4 of the 10 most populous counties. Of course, that affects black and brown voters. We need to talk about that. And of course, we need to talk about this $400 million plan to, in my view, boost gentrification. Because in that plan is this. Remember when they said they were going to slowly get rid of the tax abatement? Well, now they're not. Now they're going to extend the period of time that people can take advantage of that. And that's part of this legislation. The other part of it is a 1% construction tax, which, you know, okay, that's fine, except that they gave a exemption to those who are building commercial property. So the people who can afford to pay it most will be exempt from it. So that's part 2. Then part 3 is borrowing $400 million from, Wall Street, right, in a bond issue, and using it for what they're calling an anti-poverty program, except that who gets the money? That's always my question. Who gets the money, right? So you go and borrow $400 million that has to be paid back by the very poor people you claim you're trying to help. That's number one. Number two, you're building housing with it, which is fine if it's a housing program, but if it's an anti-poverty program, well, how does that help the impoverished, right? So if I don't have a job, because I've lost my job in this pandemic, if I don't have a work history, because I've lost my job in this pandemic, right? If my credit score is bad because I've lost my job in this pandemic and can't pay my bills, how am I going to qualify for a mortgage to buy a house, right? How does that happen? And, okay, I get the mortgage, I buy the house, but that still doesn't solve my job problem. That still doesn't solve my money problem. That still doesn't solve my credit problem. So who is it really for? That's my question. This much I know. When you build housing, there's a couple of people that get money, right? The developers get money. The building trades get money. But the people who actually buy the house get debt. That's what they get. And so there's that, right? And so putting new awnings on commercial strips, that's fine. That's needed, but it's not an anti-poverty program, right? Helping people pay the rent, that's great. But really what those people need is better jobs. Can you help them get better jobs? Can you help them get more money? Can you help them get more resources so that maybe they're not paying rent, they're actually buying a house? Can you help them with that? Just give the money to the people. Create jobs. Use it to create jobs. Make up a jobs program where you give people jobs where they can earn money and they can buy their own houses, pay their own rent, get their own stuff, instead of doing it on the backs of the very people you claim you're trying to help. A house is a great thing to have. if you've got a job, if you've got good credit, because then guess what? As the value of the house goes up, if you need money, you can take it out of the house by getting a home equity loan. But if you can't qualify for that loan, you sitting on money that you can't even get access to. That's how housing works. So how does that help somebody who has no credit history, who has no work history, who has a bad credit score? Like, how does it help somebody like that to get them a house without helping them to get the income that they need in order to get the house and keep the house? Like, it doesn't add up to me. I know a little bit about housing. I'm not saying I know everything, but I know a little bit about it, right? And what I know is that you have to have income, you have to have work history, you have to have credit score, you have to have savings, right, in order to have a down payment. Who is this really for? I want to hear from you. Give me a call, 215-634-8065. Derek from North Philly is on line 3.
Good morning, Brother Solomon. Love, peace, blessings, and prosperity.
Same to you.
Brother Solomon, this conversation today has got my nerves so shook, man. You know, I'm 60 years old this month, and I can recall in the 70s where we were gaining momentum as far as affirmative action. We were getting political power, and we were getting into office, okay? But sad to say, Solomon, your conversation you're having today, it seems to be repetitious. It's been many people in your position that have said these things, that are here still and are gone. So who does this benefit? It benefits the people like the Donald Trump supporters, and it benefits the people who believe because of the color of their skin they deserve to be elitists, or they should have everything more than anyone else. So that being said, Solomon, you did some great work, and I pray that you continue to do the great work that, like how you did with the bringing notice and attention to what was taking place in the Philadelphia Police Department. And but you know, that's the past now. So we have to continue to fight, and I want to continue to support you. You know, sometimes you see me, I come out, and I'm trying to do my part. It's very difficult. But Solomon, but like you said, now we got to get on the money, the money, and I hope that you can impact through your conversation today and your actions to target. I would use the word target, and apply your resources through the WURD family and other connections that you have, and we get down to the bottom of this, similar to how we got to the bottom of the corruption in the Philadelphia Police Department. And the other thing, Brother Solomon, is that our ancestors thought that they were poor because they had no education. I realize now that in 60 years that we have education, we have college professors, we have educated people, and we're still poor and graveling over the same things when we didn't have education. So, you know, Solomon, the point is, in conclusion of this, Solomon, I think that we got to get a fighting spirit. We know what we should get, but we're not receiving. Say, well, they should give this, they should give, but that's not their purpose or intention. Therefore, Solomon, we have to get into a fighting spirit and realize through our ancestors, when I say ancestors, not only the ones 100 years ago, but your ancestors in your family that just passed, say, a month ago or last year. We have to get a fighting spirit and with arms long enough to hold us ourselves and get what we need from the system.
I hear you, man. I want to thank you for your call this morning on WURD Radio. So in the course of writing my column yesterday, and I'll post it on our stream as well as on our social media, I looked up some of the housing programs that are already in place for the city of Philadelphia and tried to determine what the guidelines were for those programs. So there's a program through the city of Philadelphia, right, through the Division of Housing and Community Development that's called the Philly First Home Program, right? And there's a disclaimer under the income guidelines for these programs. It says most DHCD programs are limited to low and moderate income households. Use this table to determine your household's eligibility. Now, some of them are for folks who, you know, don't have a lot of money. But the ones around houses, right? For instance, the Philly First Home Program, you can make $81,150 as an individual and still qualify for that program. If you have a family of 4, you can make $115,950 and still qualify for that program. Same for Restore, Repair, Renew, right? That's the home repair program. You can make $81,000 as an individual or $115,000 as a family. Guess what? That's not poor. That's not poor. You understand what I'm saying? So if you can make that much money and qualify for these programs, well, guess what? Those people who are making that much money are the ones, if the guidelines for this are the same, who are going to get the houses. Because if you making $20,000 and you barely making it and y'all got kids and everything else, you can't qualify for a mortgage. You can't. Because your credit is jacked up, because you don't have a long work history, you're going from job to job, your salary is going down instead of up, like you don't qualify for a mortgage. So who is it really for? I want to hear from you. We're going to talk about it, but on the other side of this break, we're going to talk with Lynn Washington because today is the anniversary of the arrest and the beginning of the saga with Mumia Abu-Jamal. Lynn Washington going to talk about it on the other side of this break. I'm Solomon Jones. We'll be right back.
Jefferson Health offers no-cost COVID-19 testing sites at St. Raymond of Pennafort Church. Testing is on Thursdays and Saturdays. A second testing location has been added at Richard Allen Preparatory Charter School. Testing is on Wednesdays and Fridays. For testing hours and more information, call 1-833-533-3463.
This is not a fad for us. We will not resume our regular programming when things die down. We're not black to help our bottom line or because it's politically correct. We're not joining a fight. This has been our fight, our message, our people. Black lives have always mattered here. We are undeniably, indefatigably, unapologetically, permanently Black Talk Media. WURD.
Always Best Care is a great place to work.
Flexibility,
leadership, purpose,
great benefits.
There's never a dull moment.
diversity, inclusion, compasión.
We love our jobs. If you're looking for a great place to work, you can join our compassionate Team Green. You can apply online at teamgreenabc.com or call 267-909-9248.
Teamwork makes the dream work.
Livelihood. The new initiative from WURD Radio, connecting Philadelphians to jobs, entrepreneurship opportunities, small business resources, and financial literacy. Visit WURDworks.com right now and take the next step in your professional journey.
Work, 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 work. You send me happy work.
Livelihood is supported by the Nightland Fest's Local News Transformation Fund, Borealis Philanthropies Racial Equity and Journalism Fund, and the Solutions Journalism Network. This is WURD Radio, 96.1 FM and 900 AM WURD Philadelphia. Independent Black Media. Now, a traffic update on WURD Radio.
Good morning. This report sponsored by Staples Stores. Looking at southbound 95, we're going to find that jamming. Cotman down through Bridge, through construction again. Betsy Ross through Girard, busy. Westbound Vine Expressway, delays Ben Franklin Parkway through the Schuylkill Expressway. Schuylkill westbound, you're jamming. University through the Vine, through that work zone. West of that, jam from City Avenue out through Gladwin. Eastbound delays. You're going to find a heavy from the Conshohocken curve to Belmont. Accident there now. Then you're jammed again from Montgomery through Spring Garden. 55 northbound. Deptford into 42, still busy. Staples has cards and invitations to help you connect with clients and loved ones. Choose from hundreds of holiday templates to customize. Now get 30% off custom holiday cards and invitations. Offer ends 12/19/20, limit 1. Visit staples.com/holiday cards or store for details. Staples. For more traffic information, log on to sigalert.com. Jim Bachman with your Philadelphia area traffic.
It's Wake Up with WURD. hosted by Solomon Jones.
Good morning.
Right now on WURD Radio.
96.1 FM.
And 900 AM WURD.
What we saw was misconduct by police. As Malcolm X said, American democracy is nothing but disguised hypocrisy. If you did see the video and you did nothing, you need to go.
And now, Lynn Washington, only on Wake Up with WURD.
Good morning. This is Solomon Jones on 900 AM, 96.1 FM, WURD, and I want to welcome you back to Wake Up with WURD. Joining us now is Lynn Washington, Jr. He is a professor of journalism at Temple University, where he's a co-founder of the award-winning multimedia urban reporting lab. In addition to his Temple degrees, Washington holds a law degree from Yale University. Lynn, good morning.
Good morning, Solomon. Good morning.
How you doing,
buddy? I'm doing well.
Good.
And I'm so pleased and so proud of you, man, that you're staying on this giant ripoff that's taking place at City Hall again.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you, Lynn. I appreciate that. That means a lot coming from you, man. So there's another thing we got to talk about, though, and that is the Mumia Abu Jamal case. Today is the 39th anniversary of him being arrested. And I guess the question I want to ask you is, what have we learned about his case since then? And what, if anything, has changed over the decades?
Well, we've learned a lot about the case, and the reality is that we learned a lot more, or we know a lot more about the case than the jury did that convicted him in 1982. Today is December 9th, 2020, and ironically, on Wednesday, December 9th, 1981, is when Mumia was arrested. He was arrested for the murder of a police officer named Daniel Faulkner, and this took place at 13th and Locust Streets. And subsequent to his arrest, we see so many of the issues that we are now seeing. Police brutality. Abu Jamal was beaten savagely at the scene of the crime. Prosecutorial misconduct. We see it from excluding blacks from the jury, or excluding blacks from the jury at a trial in 1982, seemingly paying off witnesses. Then we see judicial bias. I mean, right now we have judicial bias. In Philadelphia, for example, there's a big controversy that's being kind of kept tamped down, that there's systemic racism in the Philadelphia court system. So much so that counsel held a hearing recently and asked for the leaders of the court system to come over and testify about a report done on racism in the system, and they refused to come. You know, hey, you asked me to come? Well, here's my finger. You can count which one I'm going to use. This is outrageous, but this is what is impacted in this case, and this is why millions around the world see this as a symbol of injustice in America.
And so as we have moved through the years around the Mumia Abu Jamal case, you know, the opinions around this have kind of broken along racial lines in large part. Why is that?
Well, that one's an easy one to answer. It's broken along racial lines because America is a highly racialized society. And as we see, say, with the recent presidential election, where we have millions of people who fundamentally believe that the most secure election probably in U.S. history, at least in the last 60 years, was somehow fundamentally flawed against Donald Trump, but not against the other Republicans who won. I mean, so we can have people who can see facts right out in front of them and just deny them. And that's what we have with the Abu Jamal case. Hey, he's guilty because we said so.
Yeah.
In 1981, there were a number of other people who were arrested for murders, okay? In January that year, two people were arrested for a murder of a doctor in the Frankfurt section. In May of that year, there was a horrific shooting of a black police officer by a sniper in Mantua. Someone was arrested for it. In June of that year, a man was arrested for a mob murder at the Melrose Diner in South Philadelphia. And in December, Abu Jamal was arrested for the murder of Officer Daniel Faulkner. Of those 4 incidents that I just named, 3 of them were later exposed as wrongful arrests and severe misconduct by police and prosecutors. The 2 guys who were arrested for the murder of the doctor spent 20 years in prison before it was revealed that through DNA evidence, the 2 other people did the crime. These guys were, one was a Hispanic guy who could not read or write in English, but the cops said that he gave a 2-page, single-spaced, perfectly Englished confession. The other guy was a white guy who was mentally deficient. The guy had an IQ of about 67, and he wrote a very extensive, allegedly an extensive confession. Both of those were shown that were wrong, but the police officer had died at the time. They let the guys out, no harm, no foul, and no, you don't pay us go, you don't collect $200. The one that was really horrific was the murder of the mob member. It was proven, absolutely proven, and to so much so that a judge delineated in his ruling that eventually overturned the conviction of this guy. This guy was framed by 2 police officers and a police sketch artist. He spent 1,375 days on death row before he was released. Wow. And then he went through a trial again. The city was found at fault. They went back and forth. The dude eventually got $1.9 million from the taxpayers, right? Not from the police department. The 2 cops who framed him had subsequently retired from the police department, are now getting pensions, as well as the sketch artists. So we see the systemic nature of these things. So if all of these cases were wrong, 3 of the 4 I mentioned, how is it that in Abu Jamal's case there's absolutely nothing wrong, according to some people, along racial lines? It just doesn't make any sense. But that's part of the problem with so many people that are in prison. One of the most extraordinary things about the injustice involving Abu Jamal is that it is not extraordinary at all. It just happens every day. What's different about Abu Jamal is, one, him. I mean, he's a guy who's written over a dozen books, many of them best-selling, while in prison, and written those books longhand because he doesn't have access to a computer. And he eventually, for years was trying to get a typewriter. He got a typewriter. The first time that the ribbon on the typewriter, I'm sure only people who are over a certain age know about ribbons and typewriters. But when the ribbon on his typewriter ran out, they wouldn't let him get another ribbon.
Wow.
So he's writing all of these books in thousands of commentaries by longhand in his cell, almost 30 years of which were spent on death row isolation. And death row is really a prison inside of a prison, and you're in your cell, just like you're in solitary confinement. So
walk us through the facts of the case.
Okay.
What happened with Mumia Abu Jamal, and why was he arrested?
Very devastating case that the prosecution put on, but as we subsequently found out, it was all a lie. What happened was this. On the morning of December 9th, 1981, at around 3:34 a.m.-ish in the morning, Officer Daniel Faulkner made a car stop at 13th and Locust. Ironically, the car involved Abu Jamal's brother, a guy named William Cook. He was stopped for a minor traffic violation. He had a wooden license plate instead of a real license plate, something crazy like this. It wasn't that he ran over somebody or was speeding down Locust Street. Abu Jamal was driving a cab at the time. trying to hustle up some money to support his family, doing what men are supposed to do for their family. Abu Jamal says he sees his brother being beaten by a cop, Officer Faulkner. He runs over. Now, Abu Jamal's driving a cab. He has a gun. After the smoke clears, the officer is dead. Abu Jamal is shot. And, arriving police officers see Abu Jamal. They arrest him. He's beaten at the curb. He's beaten inside the police van. He supposedly confesses inside the police van. He's arrested and charged and put on trial in June of 1982, convicted, sentenced to death row. So that's what the prosecution's case. But when you walk through the prosecution's case, it really becomes like a giant block of Swiss cheese where the holes are big enough to drive a tank through. Let me just give you a few of them real quick. The prosecution put on two witnesses, a cab driver, a white cab driver, and a woman who was working as a prostitute, a black woman. They both claimed that they saw the murder of Officer Faulkner. The cab driver said that he drove his cab up behind the officer's car that had his lights on and everything, and he looked through his front window, through the police officer's car, through Abu Jamal's brother's car, and then saw Abu Jamal shoot the officer through these three cars. Superman couldn't do that in terms of X-ray vision. Small problem, though. All of the crime scene photos taken by the police and by a photojournalist who came there before the police show no cab. Now, in December 2018, okay, we're talking about 37 years later, Larry Krasner is walking through his new offices. He's trying to find, what's going on, where the offices are and all that sort of stuff. They stumble upon a floor between floors, didn't know that it existed, didn't know rooms were there. They're looking through those rooms, and lo and behold, what they find is dozens of boxes involving cases. 6 of those boxes involve the Abu Jamal case. Those boxes should have been turned over to the police, to the defense decades ago. They go through those boxes and they find a number of things. One of the things that they found in those boxes, and something that was already out because I had copies of it for decades, was a police report from an officer who said that he was assigned to ride in the cab with the cab driver to go to homicide to give a statement about what he saw. They were talking about Chobert. So Chobert's cab was never where it was supposed to be. And the DA had that evidence, and they went into court and lied about it. So there's so many instances like that. Did Abu Jamal shoot Officer Faulkner? Well, the bullets that came out of Abu Jamal's gun that they recovered from the officer were never conclusively matched to Abu Jamal's gun. They said, well, it's his gun. And then they said, okay, well, what's your proof? I mean, can it be some other gun? They said, yeah, well, because the bullets did not match directly, and they were so mangled, we couldn't really match them to the gun. So it could have come from any one of a million guns. Oh, so you're going to put a man on death row because the gun that he had, that he was legally able to have but not carry on the street, and we think it's the gun that was used. But here's the thing that myself and another reporter, investigative reporter named Dave Lindorf, he's wrote an excellent book on the Abu Jamal case in the early 2000s. We did a test involving gunshots. We went and got a 200-pound piece of sidewalk to replicate what happened in the Faulkner murder. Now imagine 2 skinny guys carrying a 200-pound piece of sidewalk, but we went up in the mountains and conducted a test. According to the prosecution, Abu Jamal straddles the officer, points his gun down, fires 4 times, misses 3 times, and hits the officer once in the face. Crime scene photos, crime scene reports do not make any reference to any of those 3 missing bullets. Now, if Abu Jamal was shooting straight down and missed with 3 shots and only hit the officer with 1, where are the bullet marks? You could throw a rock hard on some ground and make a nick in a sidewalk. And here you're shooting a 38 plus P, which is a 38 bullet that has more ammunition in it to make it more powerful, and you're going to say that it makes no marks at all? We had three different kinds of 38 bullets: hollow point, metal jacketed, and the regular soft lead. All of them made marks in the sidewalk. But the prosecution, the police, the prosecutors, and now judges, and particularly judges of the Pennsylvania Supreme Court, are saying that the fact that there's no bullets there, that they were just magic bullets. He shot them, they just jumped up in the air somewhere and just disappeared, and he killed him with the one thing. There are so many elements of this case that just make no sense. But then we have people who, believe coronavirus is not real. They believe in the tooth fairy, too. So these are some of the things that are going on with the Abu Jamal case. And there's just, literally a book's worth of wrongdoing in this case on so many different levels.
Well, who does the defense say killed Officer Faulkner?
The defense says that the person who killed Officer Faulkner was a guy named Kenneth Freeman. Now, Kenneth Freeman and Billy Cook were business partners. Again, you have to understand the times. This was back in the early 80s. There were a lot of street vendors on this in Center City. And Billy Cook and Kenny Freeman had they were street vendors, and they basically were at the outside of the two movie theaters that were on Chestnut Street at 16th, where now the the Liberty Place is built. Ironically, Kenny Freeman had built a newsstand to put there, and immediately after the shooting of Faulkner, police firebombed that newsstand, and of course nobody was arrested. So here's the deal. Kenny Freeman and Billy Cook were like Ike and Mike. You saw one, you saw the other. And so it is now suspected that the actual shooter of Faulkner was Kenny Freeman, because Kenny Freeman would have been with Billy Cook. Witnesses who saw this, let me rephrase that. Some witnesses who saw parts of the incident say that the actual shooter ran away, got away. A couple of things about possibly of Kenny Freeman. The description of the person who ran away matched Kenneth Freeman more than Abu Jamal. Clothing, height, size, all of that. And then on the evening of the MOVE bombing in May of 1985, Kenneth Freeman is found dead under suspicious circumstances up in the lower Northeast. I had received information that he was found dead, handcuffed, and they claimed that he died of an overdose. People who have a little familiarity with drugs know that it's kind of hard to shoot a needle if you have handcuffs on and your arms are and your hands are cuffed behind your back. So that's a short version to your question as to who is suspected of having done the actual shooting.
Okay, so we got about a minute left. Where is the case now?
The case now is before the Pennsylvania Supreme Court. A judge in Philadelphia named Leon Tucker wrote some extraordinary rulings about a year and a half ago, saying that Abu Jamal deserves a new appeal because when his case went to the Supreme Court, one of the justices that denied his appeals over almost a decade was a guy named Ron Castile, who was the district attorney in Philadelphia before he became a member of the Pennsylvania Supreme Court. And while at the time that he did this, back in the late 90s and going into the 2000s, the Pennsylvania Judicial Code said that a former government official who knows about the case can't sit on the case. He violated that. But in 2015, the U.S. Supreme Court issued a ruling specifically saying that Ron Castile couldn't rule as a justice on death penalty cases that he fought against as a DA. So now they were trying to fight that out. It looked like Abu Jamal was able to get back into court, but then the FOP and the remarried widow of Daniel Faulkner goes to the Supreme Court of Pennsylvania and says, hey, we think that Larry Krasner is not fighting this case enough. We want Larry Krasner off the case. And the Pennsylvania Supreme Court says, okay, we'll do an investigation. That was improper for them to do it, but yet another violation of Abu Jamal's rights, which have, now go up to about maybe the 13th floor of the Comcast Tower in terms of the number of violations that are there. So the case is stalled until the Pennsylvania Supreme Court finishes its fake investigation of this case. They want Josh Shapiro, the Attorney General of Pennsylvania, to handle the case and not Larry Krasner. But they're just trying to delay Abu Jamal getting into court, which is a denial of justice in this case again.
All right. That is Lynn Washington, Jr. He's a professor of journalism at Temple University, where he's a co-founder of the award-winning multimedia urban reporting lab. In addition to his Temple degrees, Washington holds a law degree from Yale University. Lynn, thanks so much.
Thanks, Solomon. Appreciate it. Have a good day, sir. Bye-bye.
All right, you too. We're going to go to break. On the other side, we're going to take your calls at 215-634-8065. I'm Solomon Jones. We'll be right back.
COVID-19 affected many things this year, including regular vaccinations. Vaccines are safe, effective, and protect against serious diseases. Make sure you and your family are up to date on all vaccinations. Together, we can keep each other safe and healthy. Let's stay protected together. Get vaccinated today. For more information, visit health.pa.gov. Paid for with Pennsylvania taxpayer dollars.
Dietz & Watson has been making premium meats and artisan cheeses for over 80 years. And when it comes to stacking sandwiches and party platters, they've got something for everyone in the family, like maple honey turkey breast, American cheese, buffalo chicken, and more. So get to your local deli and taste 4 generations of family recipes. With Dietz & Watson on the table, you'll have everyone coming back for seconds and thirds. Dietz & Watson, it's a family thing since 1939. Monday through Thursday, keep it locked to WURD Radio. At 6 a.m., start your day with the Power Hour, hosted by Bishop Dwayne Royster and Reverend Mark Kelly Tyler. At 7, it's Wake Up with WURD with Solomon Jones. At 10 a.m., it's Reality Check with Charles Ellison. Then at 1 p.m., it's The Source, hosted by Andrea Lawful Sanders on Mondays, Tuesdays, and Thursdays, and the Black Women's Leadership Council on Wednesdays. At 4 p.m., it's Evening Words with Nick Taliaferro. Then at 7, it's Save Space with Sincerely Sarita. At 9 p.m., round up your day with Keeping It Real with the Reverend Al Sharpton.
Keep your dial locked
to WURD Radio, 96.1 FM and 900 AM WURD.
Streaming live on WURDradio.com and the WURD Radio app.
Or watch live on WURD TV via Facebook and YouTube. WURD Radio. Independent Black Media.
Have you heard about City Council's plan to build more affordable housing, repair existing homes, create jobs, and support small business? The Neighborhood Preservation Initiative will invest $400 million in Philly communities. Read about it at www.phlcouncil.com/NPI.
Now, a traffic update
on WURD Radio.
Good morning. This report sponsored by Staples Stores. Volume still busy. Schuylkill Expressway, westbound side, your James University through the Vine, through construction. Again, the Boulevard out to Gladwin, eastbound side, Jam Bluebird to Belmont. An accident there still. Then again, delays in a little slower on South Street. Looking at the westbound Vine Expressway, 95 through the Schuylkill, generally slow the entire way there. Southbound 95, that's busy. Copman through Bridge through construction. Again, Allegheny through Girard, northbound, moving fine. 55 northbound, Deptford into 42. That is a jam now this morning. Staples helps you ship all of your gifts and packages this year. Now save 25% on UPS expedited shipping services, plus take up to 30% off select shipping supplies like boxes, tape, and padded mailers. In-store only. Offer ends 1/2/21. See store for details. Staples. For more traffic information, log on to sigalert.com. Jim Bachman with your Philadelphia area traffic.
You're waking up
with WURD.
Hosted by Solomon Jones.
Good morning.
Right now on WURD Radio.
96.1 FM.
And 900 AM WURD.
Good morning. This is Solomon Jones on 900 AM, 96.1 FM, WURD. And I want to welcome you back to Wake Up with Word. We're taking your calls at 215-634-8065. That is 215-634-8065. Just got finished our conversation with Lynn Washington, who walked us through the Mumia Abu-Jamal case. Today is the 39th anniversary of his arrest. And so we'll see where that case goes. An excellent history of it from Lynn Washington, so we appreciate him. Of course, also talking about our big three stories today. Story number one, the Supreme Court on Tuesday denied a request from Pennsylvania Republicans to block certification of the Commonwealth's election results, delivering a near-fatal blow to the GOP's long-shot bid to invalidate President-elect Joe Biden's victory. Story number two, Philadelphia could receive its first doses of the long-awaited coronavirus vaccine as soon as next week and begin inoculating healthcare workers on the front line, officials said yesterday. Story 2A, 4 of the 10 most populous counties in Georgia are reducing the number of locations where people can vote early in the state's Senate runoff races, prompting outcry from civil rights and voting rights organizations. And, of course, story number 3, the mayor and city council say they have a plan to reduce poverty, and maybe that's true if the plan is to force out the poor by spending $400 million to boost gentrification. That's my view, and you can read it, of course, in the Philadelphia Inquirer. But I want to know what you guys think. Give me a call, 215-634-8065. That is 215-634-8065. That is the number you can call to get in on the conversation right here at WURD Radio. Let us know where you are on these various things we are talking about on this morning's show. Olanian from Nicetown is on line one. Go ahead, Olanian.
Greetings. I just happened to turn on the radio when Lynn Washington was summarizing the things that happened with Mumia. Now, what is a convicted murderer? Mumia has been not proven to have killed anyone. So how can he be a convicted or any other kind of adverb murderer or killer?
No, he was convicted in court, so that's what convicted means. But I mean, it doesn't mean people have been convicted of stuff that they didn't do, but that's what convicted means, that you were found guilty in court.
Well, he's convicted, but not a convicted murderer. He didn't murder anybody. He was convicted of something he didn't do. Sometimes when I go into the stores, people think I'm a thief, that I stole some candy. They can convict me, but I didn't steal the candy.
Okay. All right, Olanian, thank you for your call this morning on WURD. Let's go to Maurice from Southwest on line 2. Go ahead, Maurice.
Hey, Solomon, I just got out the hospital. He make me want to go back. That nonsense he was talking. But listen, I'm with you 100%, man. What you saying is true, and I know I'm redundant. But, I want to see somebody in city council fight for us for once. So at least come on the shows and look. I want to explain it to you on how it really is. And that's the way it is. I can deal with the truth, but don't try to give me a fancy title and put a big number up there, and I'm supposed to say, oh, yeah, look what they doing, and all I got to show on Broad Street is a statue. You understand what I'm saying, why I be upset so much? I don't understand what they're doing. They know that they're forcing black people out the city, especially people that can't afford to stay. Even if you do give people money to fix up their houses, by the time they don't have to pay taxes on them, or they can't afford to pay the new tax that they're going to put on them. So it's a lose-lose. There's no win-win in this situation at all. And Darryl Clark comes on yesterday like he's explaining this stuff, and all he did to me was make himself look worse. I mean, what do you think about that, Sal?
I don't know, because I don't know what Darryl Clark said yesterday. I know what Darryl Clark said to me. And so, he attempted to explain. And, my bottom line question is this. Who gets the money? That really is the bottom line question for me. Who gets the money? If it is an anti-poverty program, then how much of the money goes to those who are impoverished? That, and if you can't tell me that, then maybe go back and figure out how much of the money goes to those who are impoverished. I mean, that really is the bottom line, if it is a poverty program. Now, if it's a housing program, well, that's not the same thing as a poverty program, right? I do know this, that when you build housing, that the money goes to developers, the money goes to the building trades, the money goes to lawyers who put together the contracts, same as it goes to lawyers who put together the contracts around bond issues, right? When you borrow money, lawyers are involved in that. When you build housing, developers and the building trades are involved in that. These are the people who get the money. How much of the money actually goes to the people, right? If it's supposed to solve the problem of poverty, which means the lack of money, how much of the money, right? And that's the question I keep asking. Goes to the people, right? And if it don't go to the people, well, it's not really an anti-poverty program. I want to hear from you. Give me a call, 215-634-8065. That is 215-634-8065. That is the number you can call to get in on the conversation right here at WURD. And you know, I want to make clear, like, this is about the policy to me. Like, I really, you know, when I had the opportunity, right, to host the morning show on WURD, because initially when we talked, initially it was about another opportunity that I wasn't as interested in. But when this opportunity came along, the very first thing I said, on my very first day on the air, was that we were going to get to the truth about things that were affecting our community. We were going to talk to those who were actually involved in it, that we were going to look at documents in order to understand it, and that we were going to talk to the people in order to make change. Like, that's what I came here for. You know, and so when I get to a bottom line question, that's what I need the answer to. Who gets the money, right? But as I researched this whole thing, you know, and again, I wrote about it yesterday in the Inquirer. I posted the link on our stream, and we'll post it on my website, and we'll post it on WURD's website and everything else. But, you know, here are the guidelines for some of Philadelphia's housing programs, right? So the Philly First Home program. You can, as an individual, make $81,000 and qualify for that program. I got news for you, that ain't poor, right? You could be a family of four and make $115,000 and qualify for that program. That ain't poor. The Restore, Repair, Renew program. Again, same guidelines. You can make $81,000 and qualify for that, or $115,000 as a family of four. You know what the income eligibility guidelines are for poverty? You know what the poverty rate is? If you're one person, right, 100% of the poverty rate is $760,000 a year. $12,760,000 a year as an individual. That's poor, according to the federal government, right? For a family of four, $26,200 a year. That's poor. Now, for some of the state programs, you can make up to 200% of the poverty level, right? Which is $25,520 as an individual. That's 200% of the poverty level. You're making twice as much as you would need to make to qualify to be in poverty. So why do our programs for housing go to people who make $81,000? That's not poor. The poverty rate for one person is $12,760. Why do we have housing programs for people who make $81,000? That's not poor. Why for a family of four is the poverty rate $26,000 a year, but we got housing programs for a family of four that make $115,000 a year? That's not poor. So who is it for? Come on, man. 215-634-8065. Let's go to Will Mega from West Philly online. Nope, he's gone. Let's go to Cliff from Connecticut on line 3. Go ahead.
I'll be brief. And listen, thank you for bringing on Lynn in Washington. You know, I totally believe the details that were illustrated in his explanation, and so thanks again. I appreciate that. Thanks for taking my call, brother.
Mm-hmm. You're welcome. Thanks for calling this morning on WRD. Let's go to Marta from Center City on line 4. Go ahead, Marta.
Thank you. I want to speak to the two things that you've brought up, and echoing previous callers. Thank you so much for bringing on Lynn Washington and for what he explained. And as he said, and I'm sure you realize in the small amount of time that he had, all the police and judicial and prosecutorial and media abuse that Mumia has received over the decades couldn't be gone into. But I'm glad that people are paying attention and that you gave the time for people to see how wrong this, how problematic his conviction is, and to understand that almost 4 decades on, he's still in lockup, though productive of intellectually and so other ways productive, contributing citizen. And this, I'm very grateful also for you for calling out City Council on this quote unquote plan, which you probably know is advertised on WURD, and they advertise it saying City Council is going to stabilize neighborhoods, increase housing, find out more, go to this website. And in my opinion, if City Council had been doing its job over the decades to actually stabilize neighborhoods, prevent people from making massive profits by receiving tax abatements for gentrification, we wouldn't need this plan.
Yeah, I hear you, and I want to thank you so much for your call this morning on WURD. I have not heard the ad, and so, you know, I haven't heard it, but, you know, my job is to tell the truth, so, you know, as I see it, and I intend to do that. So thank you so much for your call this morning on WURD. Let's go to Hampton from Massachusetts on line 1.
Yes, good morning.
Good morning.
How are you today?
Good, and you?
Good, good. Big fan of your show. Listen to you every day.
Thank you.
And I always appreciate when you bring on Lynn Washington. He tells us some truths that we need to hear.
Yeah.
When he was talking about this particular case, it's reminiscent of a case that we had up here in Boston. And quickly, it's a series that was on Netflix called Trial 4. And it's about the prosecution of Sean Ellis. They put him in jail for 20 years for allegedly killing a cop. Where it turns out the cop was actually a corrupt cop and it was a hit, but he just happened to be in an area buying Pampers for his daughter, and they put him in jail for 20 years. And then when he was exonerated, the Boston police never admitted that the guy was not guilty. They, you know, and they're still so. But this is reminiscent of a lot of things, like just people growing up and being just picked up by police, put in jail just because they're there. There's somebody around. You know what I mean? There's like that whole pick a Negro. I'll say the correct words. You know, from anything and just put them in jail. And I just hope that this keeps the fight keeps going on. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Hampton. I appreciate your call this morning on WURD Radio. We got a bunch of callers lined up, so we are going to go to break. And on the other side of this break, we are going to continue to take your calls. I'm Solomon Jones. We'll be right back.
This year's been tough, but it's given me a lot of time to learn new skills through the internet.
I've been joining more classes during lockdown.
I'm doing an internship.
I taught myself how to play guitar.
So when people ask,
will I be able to learn online?
I feel like I'm ready.
Internet Essentials from Comcast has connected millions of families from low-income homes to the internet. So no matter what back to school looks like, students can be ready for anything. Learn more at comcast.com/internetessentials.
Last year, the Pennsylvania Lottery contributed over $1.2 billion to programs that benefit older Pennsylvanians. Programs like senior centers and hot meals, long-term living services and home care, property tax and rent rebates, transit rides, and much more. To learn more, visit PALottery.com and check out the interactive map to see how the Pennsylvania Lottery benefits older residents in your county. Players must be 18 or older. Please play responsibly.
WURD Radio presents the following wellness tip to support our listeners with mindfulness and motivation
as we continue to navigate the pandemic together.
Hi, this is Halana, your resident health and wellness coach, with tips to help you stay well. By definition, inspiration is something that gives us new and creative ideas. We often believe that we only need inspiration when we have a goal or a project in mind. However, getting inspired can be easy with a little practice. Try this. Number 1, write down exactly what you truly desire in your life. Number 2, think about solutions to hurdles and challenges you face. Number 3, think about the next best step in your current situation. Staying inspired requires thought, intention, and space to be creative. In fact, allowing inspiration to be present in our lives is something we can practice every day. Go ahead and try. Stay well with WURD. Happy living.
Stay well with WURD. Connect with us at WURDradio.com. 1 month, 25 bold ideas. A more just, equitable, and prosperous Philadelphia. Join speakers like Reverend Michael Eric Dyson, MSNBC anchor Ali Velshi, LAPD Sergeant turned police reformer Cheryl Dorsey, author and poverty fighter Wes Moore, Black Thought of the Roots, and WURD's own Charles Ellison for the Philadelphia Citizens' 3rd annual Ideas We Should Steal Festival. Presented by Comcast NBC Universal, Tuesdays throughout December. Find out more and reserve your spot at thephiladelphiacitizen.org/Ideas We Should Steal Festival. For WURD members, check your email for discounts and complimentary access details.
It's Wake Up with WURD, hosted by Solomon Jones. Right now on WURD Radio.
96.1 FM.
And 900 AM WURD.
Good morning. This is Solomon Jones on 900 AM, 96.1 FM, WURD. Want to buy black for the holidays? We got you covered. WURD Radio is proud to present our virtual holiday marketplace online. Support local, small, black-owned businesses through the marketplace and purchase your holiday gifts today. Go to wordradio.com/marketplace or wordworks.com/marketplace. So we're taking your calls at 215-634-8065. That is 215-634-8065. We're talking about a number of things this morning. Of course, had a great interview with Lynn Washington on this, the 39th anniversary of the arrest of Mumia Abu-Jamal, and he walked through the case for us, so we certainly appreciate him. Also talking about our big 3 stories of the day. Story number 1, the Supreme Court on Tuesday denied a request from Pennsylvania Republicans to block certification of the Commonwealth's election results, delivering a near-fatal blow to the GOP's long-shot bid to invalidate President-elect Joe Biden's victory. Story number 2, Philadelphia could receive its first doses of the long-awaited coronavirus vaccine as soon as next week and begin inoculating healthcare workers on the front line. Of course, also talking about what's happening in Georgia, where 4 of the 10 largest counties there have reduced the number of locations where people can vote early. That is going to impact black and brown voters there, and we need to keep an eye on that. And, of course, story number 3, the mayor and city council say they have a plan to reduce poverty, and maybe that's true if the plan is to force out the poor by spending $400 million to boost gentrification. That's my view, and, of course, you can read about it in the Philadelphia Inquirer. And I want to hear from you. Give us a call, 215-634-8065. Let's go to Jacob from Olney on line 2. Go ahead.
Hey, peace be unto you, Brother Solomon.
Same to you.
You know,
you sound a little low, Jacob.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yeah, I see you sound better now.
Is that more better? Yeah.
Yes.
You know, what I hear you saying, Solomon, is that black people ain't half woke. We all the way woke.
Yeah.
And a bunch of big words ain't going to cut it no more. You remember in Living Colors, they had, I think Damon Wayans played the guy. He was in jail, but he was like a brother, and he said a lot of words, right?
Yeah.
And it sounded like he really knew something, right? But he wasn't saying nothing, right? Talking about saying nothing.
I remember that.
See, we woke enough to that now. And one thing we know how to keep a scorecard on who's doing what, who's saying what, right? And what you asking, man, is real simple. How much money going to the impoverished, right? Ain't that simple? $400 million. I bet you know how much the contractor's going to get, how much like you said, the lawyers and everybody. Why can't you answer a simple question? How much of the money is going to go to people that's impoverished, that's going to help them get out of poverty?
Yeah.
If you can't answer that question, man, look here. People waking up also to the power of their vote. These people got to recognize this, that we ain't half woke no more. We all the way woke, and we woke to some of the crazy, 3-card money things that y'all put out for us, you know. It's really, as Mike Tyson would say, it's totally ludicrous, man. Thank you, Solomon. Peace.
All right. Thank you, man. I appreciate your call as always, Jacob. Let's go to Will Mega from West Philly on line 3. Go ahead.
This is why I'm constantly calling for reparations, right? If you ask the question, well, who are these impoverished people throughout this city? The majority of the people you're talking about are black folks. Now, if you ask the reverse question, who's going to benefit from what you're talking about? The majority of the people are going to be white people, right? And so when you keep following this trail, I think what you're going to end up finding is politicians who are not willing to do what it takes to address black folks and playing it safe so they can appease white folks. What I would caution you at, though, is that although you mentioned that $81,000 is not impoverished, right? I get that. I understand where you're coming from with that. But what I would also say is that if you're a black person, you deserve reparations. I don't care how much money you're making, right? And so, the bill, it also speaks to, you would also qualify if you made $40,000 a year as well, though, not just $81,000. It's $81,000 and below. But ultimately, Solomon, my point here is this. Someone mentioned education earlier on your show, saying, education's not going to get. What I'm thinking is absolutely it will. You see, the people who need to become tax exempt need to be the black folks. The folks who need not to be paying for school, college, and what have you, need to be black folks. The folks not having to pay housing taxes, and I know this sounds really extreme, but when we're talking about reparations, it's just 3 things that those bills, the quality of life that people are paying, those bills are what? Your housing, right? Your education. Those are the things that support people to push us forward in society. And
I hear you. Where I would caution you is that if a program is supposed to be an anti-poverty program, then it should specifically deal with people in poverty, not with people who make 8 times or 7 times what the poverty rate actually is. And so if you are saying that what you are doing is an anti-poverty program, then it needs to be specific to people who are in poverty, not for people who are not, right? And reparations certainly, I think, is a related issue, but I think it's a different issue than saying that we are doing an anti-poverty program, and then when you look at the guidelines for it, it's not necessarily just for people in poverty. That's my issue.
And that's why, and I'll jump off quickly, but that's why I'm saying that they pulled the wool over our heads. Because it shouldn't be an anti-poverty program. That's just the thing. The program should always lead to reparations. Because anti-poverty gives people this idea that, oh, this is going to impact and support black folks. But if we make it a reparations program, then it can only impact and support black folks. That's
I hear
how
you.
it needs
I
to
hear
work.
you. And Will, I want to thank you for your call this morning on WRD. And I'm actually working on a book now, which is why I'm so tired. That in its first chapter actually deals with the issue of reparations. So I want to thank you for your call. Anthony from Delaware is on line 4. Go ahead, Anthony.
Good morning, Solomon.
Good morning.
Usually, most of all I know about this is what I hear from you. But to my understanding, they have the 9 votes in council. They just haven't voted it out. And I think the mayor they've already done like a negotiation. So it just sounds like a election voting issue to me. You know, that you keep score and you don't like what the politician done or city council done, then you vote them out. Simple as that. Because if they have the vote and the mayor have already, you know, negotiated, what's left to do?
I hear you, man. I want to thank you for your call this morning on WURD Radio. Let's go to Diane from South Philly on line 1. Go ahead, Diane.
Solomon, good morning.
Good morning.
I am listening to every caller that has a point and a statement to say. I got a chance to see Lynn Washington on HBO last night. They showed Move. It was long, but it was interesting. It was painful. It was happy at the end, but I can't imagine being in jail for 40 years and not seeing my child. And it was just too much. This program that the city council is trying to pass, you got some folks that never made $80,000 in their life, and they're still living right now in poverty. And here's another thing. The people that's going to qualify for that program is called accustomed to, and they're accustomed to getting what they want, and it's called entitlement. They feel like they're entitled to get it. Solomon, listen, maybe in the next 10 years, we might not even have no black folks left in Philly. The way it looks now, North Philly, Southwest, South Philly, the houses are so expensive and the taxes are going up. My daughter lives in Southwest Philly. She's been begging them for years. Can she buy that house next to her? When it was the housing authority, now it's the redevelopment. Now it's the I think it's called a something bank. It's just so many. Every time we turn around, it's a new title for something. We need a form. If we didn't have COVID-19, we should get together, get up to city council, and demand that they show us what this program is going to do. Because right now, it's not doing anything. I don't make $80,000 a year. I'm on Social Security. But you got couples out here, and you got the children. Philadelphia is a hot mess. Solomon, I love you. Stay blessed and keep it real.
Love you, Black. Love you, Black. I like that. Thank you so much for your call this morning on WURD Radio. Let's go to Mike from North Philly on line 2. Go ahead, Mike.
Good morning, Solomon. How you doing today, good brother?
I'm good, man. How are you?
I'm doing good. See, Solomon, like you always say in national elections, but like here too locally, elections have consequences. If you don't get out there and vote these people out of there, they are going to continue to do the same thing that they do. You know, they believe that your vote is worth a hamburger and a hot dog in Vernon Park every time it's election time. And that's all they give you. But when you need substantial stuff to be done, they do nothing for you. And like the brother said, they talking a lot of gibberish like the guy on the Wayans brothers. It sounds something like this, Solomon. First of all, we must internalize the flatulation of the matter by transmitting the effervescence of the Indonesian proximity in order to further segregate the crux of my venereal infection. What does that mean? Thank you, Solomon, for taking my call.
Thank you for your call this morning on WURD. We appreciate it. Let's go to Minister Tracy from Philly on line 3. Go ahead.
Good morning, Solomon. It's always a pleasure. How are you doing? Happy holidays to your family and everything.
Same to you.
Yes, I'm calling because I have two young gentlemen, 18 and 19. They're staying at my facility, and I need 2 twin beds for them. You know, they came home and the home situation wasn't good, so we had to go down there because I'm like a chaplain. I went down to the house. One went back to a house that had no water and no light. And we had to get them out of there. But, you know, now I just need some beds. We provided housing for them and stuff like that, but we just need 2 twin beds. So if you know anybody that has some beds, we really do need them.
All right. Did you try to do a GoFundMe campaign?
No, they didn't. They just got here yesterday. Yeah, we just need some beds, and they.
All right. Well, give out a phone number people can call if they want to give you the beds.
Okay.
What's the phone number?
267-456-3859. Again,
Okay.
267-456-3859. Thank you. Have a blessed
All right. Okay. Let's go to Patrick from Kensington on line 4. Go ahead, Patrick.
Hey, Solomon, I'll give him some beds. I'll pay for the beds.
Okay.
What was that phone number again? I was trying to write it down.
God, I knew you were going to ask me that. I don't know.
How about this? I'll leave my phone number with Kwesa.
Okay.
And she can call me directly. I'll pay for the beds.
Good enough.
Yesterday, I actually had somebody come into my store. What's interesting is a guy did 8 years in prison. And we were having a conversation, and what you don't realize what people go through when they come home. And he was mentioning that, you know, his kids that are, you know, 12 and 14 years old, and you know, when he went to prison, you know, when you sleep in prison, it's very quiet. And now that he's home, it's like, you know, he's having trouble sleeping because he hears all these noises, and it's like it's frustrating to him. So I never really thought about the difficulties of coming back from prison and that being one of them, you know. But I think it was like a calling for her to say that, talking about the bed so people can get good sleep. But you know what I wanted to say, Solomon, is that the city council in Philadelphia, with all the anti-poverty stuff, they need the citizens of Philadelphia to be able to make comments at their council meetings about whatever they want to make a comment about. This whole thing about only being able to comment on final, you know, bills that are on the final passage calendar. Once it's on the final passage calendar, Solomon, it's Dunny Dunford. You know what I mean? Their minds are made up.
Yep.
So
that's right. I worked in council, and here's what happens with a bill when you don't have the votes. The bill is held. They say we're going to hold the bill, right? And they hold it until they can get the votes. And if they don't get the votes, they never bring it to the floor.
Yeah, and then once they bring it to the floor, they already know who's voting which way, if it's going to pass, if it's not going to pass.
Yep.
And that's just that to me that's so unfair to the citizens. Being the largest city in the country with the largest poor population, you know, it makes it so. You know, with like Move, I always think about that. The Move special came on last night. You know, these. By the way, all the programs and the things that Move was trying to do sounds like the progressive movement in the Democratic Party now. You know, vegetarianism, you know, back to earth, you know, kind animals, like PETA type stuff. Like, you know, Move was very revolutionary in their thoughts, but Move was trying to tell the people that they need to have a voice. And I do think that if there was the ability for them to have a voice, you know that city council never even had public comments until somebody sued them in like 2010 or 2009. They literally never had any public comments during their council meetings. And then somebody had to sue them to get public comments on just the agenda items.
No, they had public comments when I worked there. But hold on a minute, and
I'll give the phone
Kwesa will give you the number. We got to go to break. On the other side, dear Melanie is back. She's live, and she's raring to go. She's got another hilarious answer to one of life's biggest questions. I'm Solomon Jones. We'll be right back.
Seniors, does your doctor regularly reach out to check on you? Can you walk into your doctor's office and see them if you need to? Do you have your doctor's cell phone number, and can you call them anytime, day or night? At Dedicated Senior Medical Center, their only specialty is caring for seniors. Dedicated makes it easy to get the primary care you deserve. Doctors spend more time with patients than the doctors you may be used to. They offer telehealth visits, help you get your medications, and even make sure you get to your appointments. If your doctor isn't treating you like family, it's time to say yes to Dedicated Senior Medical Center. Call Dedicated Senior Medical Center today to schedule a visit and find out what you're missing. Call 267-443-1900. That's 267-443-1900. Appointments are available now.
In Pennsylvania, it's now illegal to sell tobacco products, including cigarettes, cigars, chewing tobacco, vapes, or electronic cigarettes to anyone under 21. Stores can get fined up to $1,000 for selling tobacco to someone who is underage. Know the law. Check IDs. Post your retailer license. Make sure only employees have access to tobacco products and only sell tobacco products to customers aged 21 and older. Paid for with Pennsylvania taxpayer dollars.
Have you heard about City Council's plan to build more affordable housing, repair existing homes, create jobs, and support small business? The Neighborhood Preservation Initiative will invest $400 million in Philly communities. Read about it at www.phlcouncil.com/NPI.
Want to buy black for the holidays? Word Radio has got you covered. WURD is proud to present our virtual holiday marketplace online. Support local, small, black-owned businesses through the marketplace and purchase your holiday gifts today. Visit wordradio.com/marketplace or wordworks.com/marketplace.
Looking for employment? JD's Auto Body and Painting is hiring. They have 2 positions if you have 5 years experience in auto body and framework. Also seeking painter with 5 years experience. And if you have experience as an A or B assembler, JD's Auto Body can be the place for you. Please call JD's Auto Body at 215-848-5949 or email JD's Auto Body and Painting at comcast.net.
It's Wake Up with Word, hosted by Solomon Jones. Right now on Word Radio.
96.1 FM.
And 900 AM WURD.
Good morning. This is Solomon Jones on 900 AM, 96.1 FM, WURD, and I want to welcome back your favorite cousin of mine, dear Melanie Bryant Hurst, doctoral candidate in social work at Wilder University, First Lady of Mount Pisgah AME in Jersey City, New Jersey, where the Reverend Dr. Stanley Hurst II is the pastor. Melanie, welcome back.
Thank you, Solomon.
How you doing?
I'm good, but where's my theme song? We talked about this.
We did talk about it.
Back with a theme song. Get it together.
We gonna get it together, Melanie. We owe you at least that much. All right, but we've been playing recordings from stuff that you did last year that is still relevant now. So the people have been enjoying that while you've been gone. But we're gonna work on the theme song. What kind of music you want? What you want?
I don't even know, but just make it original, make it jazzy. You know,
make it jazzy.
We clap to, yeah. You
All
know,
right, I got you.
You the rapper. You got it.
Ain't nobody supposed to know that.
Yeah, well,
that's what happened when you put your cousin on the radio. They just give up the tapes. Yeah, I was pretty good. I was pretty good for my time. So you know, maybe one day we'll bless y'all with something.
My cousin a rapper. Yeah, my cousin a rapper. They wasn't ready.
No, they wasn't ready.
No, not at all, Solomon.
Oh man, oh man, oh man. So, Melanie, I know you got some news. Are you ready to share it with the people?
Oh yes. On September 11th, 2020, my husband and I welcomed a baby girl, Shia Janae. And she will be 3 months old, and she is absolutely gorgeous and beautiful and such a welcomed addition to our family. So that's why I was going for that long. So, yeah, it's been a wonderful, wild ride.
I'm sure it has. Now, are you sleeping?
Yeah. A little bit now. Now. That first week or so, I was like, Why do hospitals send you home with these babies? Take them back. Something's not right. She's broken. But, you know.
Yeah, that's what they do.
Yeah, you know, I'm like, they should be held liable for this. This is not a liability. You know, but now that I can, you know, sleep a little bit more and function a little bit better, it's going well. It's going well.
That's good. That's good.
Yeah.
So are you ready for the question?
I'm ready, Solomon.
All right, here it is. Dear Melanie, Christmas is coming and I'm nervous, but not about COVID. I'm nervous because this year I know I'm getting another tie from my uncle, and for the first time I'm considering regifting it. But I'd feel terrible if he found out. So when is it okay to regift, signed Tied Up, in Tacoma?
My goodness, it's my first day back, and y'all about to get me in all kinds of trouble. I mean, listen, but sadly, I know all about this, okay? Let me go back to the year of our Lord, 1995. Okay. Picture it, South Philly at Southwark Middle School. I was so excited to participate in my first Pollyanna. I pulled Shaquita's name from the hat, and she was a fly girl, so I knew exactly the gift to get her. Solomon, I saved my allowance, and I went to the gallery on the second floor right outside of Parade of Shoes to the beaded earring stand. And I got her a pair of hoop earrings that was $2 over the $20 limit. Oh, Solomon, they were packaged perfectly in a box with a bow. And for the next few days, I could only imagine what I would receive. I was so excited. I mean, everyone would take such good care and consideration as I did, right? Solomon, the day came. It was the day of the reveal, and even though I was always late for school, I was extra early that day. We settled in the homeroom, and I was so excited. I started sweating. Okay, Mr. Steve, the teacher, called each of our names, and we exchanged gifts. I watched Shaquita's face light up when she opened her earrings, and as I unwrapped my gift, I anticipated that I had the same response. I unfolded a layer of wrapping paper and then tissue paper. Oh, my goodness, I couldn't believe it. I stared and stared and stared. And staring back at me, Solomon, was a black Nike headband with white beady beads all over it. A black Nike headband with white beady beads, okay? Now, right there at the age of 12, going on 13, I had a choice. Either flip over those desks or be gracious, smile, and say thank you. Now, I probably chose to initially flip over them desks, but you know what? I realized I'd get a beating when I got home, so I decided to smile, say thank you, and be gracious. And that was the year where Christmas giving and receiving was never left up to chance again. I've never done a Pollyanna again, Solomon. I have never done it again. And during Christmas, I outright ask people, what do you want? Nowhere in the handbook of Christmas does it say you have to surprise people. Even Santa gets a list of what people want because he doesn't want to be despised. Okay?
How about that?
So listen, Tied Up in Tacoma, you got a few more weeks left. Start calling your uncle regularly and just ask him what he wants for Christmas. After he tells you what he would want, you wait to see if he returns with the same question. If he doesn't, so what? Tell him your wish list anyway. Now, listen, make sure you stick in the same price range as the tie. And remember, if the price tag on the tie says $80, bet your bottom dollar was on sale and a coupon was used to bring the price down to $19.99. And if on Christmas Day you get a tie, it's your own fault. I told you what to do. Blame yourself. So if that's the case, you smile, be gracious, and add this tie to the collection of ties that you'll never wear. But after 2 years, it's safe to re-gift it again because ain't nobody think about the tie from 2 years ago. So that's the answer, all right? It's a 2-year limit. Tell people what you want and don't get caught up again.
That's
you
right.
got to learn sometimes. Tied Up in Tacoma, get it together.
That's what you got to do. That's what you got to do. All right. So y'all write down those steps to what you got to do if you want to regift. Because
life is short, Solomon.
Man,
Listen,
look,
life is short. We ain't got
that's
time
right.
to be surprising people at Christmas anymore. Life is too short. We can see that. Tell people
That's right.
what you want, okay?
Tell them. That's right. That's right. Now, what did you ever do with that Nike? So the Nike headband had been worn. They gave you an old Nike headband that they wore. It had the nerve that had like lint balls on it.
Lint balls, BBs, okay? I wrapped it back up in the paper that it came in, and I stuck it inside my book bag. Who knows? Solomon, knowing me, I probably threw it in the trash. I was hot that day. I was mad. I wanted to take the earrings back. I was mad. I wanted to write a letter to somebody. You know, that's probably when I started turning into my mom right there in 1995. I said, I'm writing a letter to somebody. This is out of order. I'm writing a letter. This is out of order. You know, I never wore it. I never wore the BDB headband because it was used. I'm not wearing that.
That's right. I know that's right.
I was so mad at him. Oh, my God. We're friends on Facebook. I think it's finally time that I tell him. Do you remember that, Jay? In 1995 when you gave me that BDB headband? That's what he said.
Yeah, I think it's time to settle that up, Melanie, because you know, it feels like it's still an issue for you. So you might.
I've been traumatized. You're right. You're absolutely right. I've been traumatized every time I tell the story.
Oh man. That is your favorite cousin and mine. Dear Melanie Bryan-Hurst, doctoral candidate in social work at Widener University, First Lady of Mount Pisgah AME in Jersey City, New Jersey, where the Reverend Dr. Stanley Hurst II is the pastor. You can check out more of her work at askthepreacherswife.com. That's askthepreacherswife.com. I hear Shia in the background. Tell her I said hello.
I will. Solomon says hi, Shia.
She said, I'm on the show too. Doggone it.
That's right. It's my debut.
And tell Stanley I said hi too.
I will.
All right, Melanie. Thanks so much. We'll talk to you soon.
All right. Talk to you later.
All right. Bye. I want to hear from you. 215-634-8065. That is 215-634-8065. That is the number you can call to get in on the conversation right here at WURD. So what do you think, Kawesa? 2-year limit on the regift? You got to wait 2 years and then regift it?
I think that's actually a good idea. Yeah, 2 years. I mean, honestly, I might but I'm trifling. I might try to regift it the same year. I don't know.
Same year.
It might because sometimes you know what happens is, but you can't do it in the same circle. That's the key, right? You gotta give it to someone who has no association with the other person who gave you the gift. That's how you get past it. That's how you get around it. But yes, in other circumstances, 2 years. 2 years.
You are right. See, the way we usually do Christmas, and I guess we're gonna have to do it at Melanie's house now, but Melanie all the way in Jersey City. But we would do Christmas here at my house because we were the ones with kids. But my kids now, Eve 19, Solomon 16, So, but we would all gather in one place. Of course, we're not going to do that this year because of COVID. But we got to figure that out because, and so you don't do it that day. You don't do it in that circle. You do it someplace else. Yeah, that's brilliant, Quace. I like it. You sound like you might have some experience.
Just a smidge, smidge of experience. I'm just saying. I've been given some things where I'm like, I cannot use this at all, but maybe somebody else can. Yeah. And then that's usually how I do it. But yeah, no, not the same circle. That's the trick. Not the same circle.
There you go. Love it. We're gonna go to the phone lines. 215-634-8065. Let's go to line 1. Gary from Chester is on the line. Go ahead, Gary.
Solomon Jones, thanks for taking my call. Solomon Jones, really enjoyed your show this morning. Solomon, the question I want to ask is this. Since everybody's working from home, do they still got to pay fully wage taxes?
Yes. But I think there's some kind of, there might be a break on that. I need to look that up. That's a good question.
Okay. Now, what's the poverty line, the income for poverty?
So poverty for one person is $12,760 a year. Poverty for a family of 4 is $26,200 a year.
And the houses they sell for $80,000. You got to qualify. You got to make $80,000 to get these low-income homes.
You can make up to $81,000 in order to qualify for the Philly First housing program. I don't know what the qualification is going to be for this neighborhood preservation initiative. I don't know. But in looking up the income eligibility for the housing programs that are already in place, you can make up to $81,000 as an individual and up to $115,000 as a family of 4.
And the minimum wage is what? $7 an hour?
$7.50, something like that.
Solomon Jones, thanks for taking my call.
Yeah, I hear you, man. And I want to thank you for your call this morning on WURD Radio. All I want to know is, and it's a really simple question. It's not a hard question. If we are doing $400 million as an anti-poverty program, who gets the money? That's all. I mean, it's not a hard question. Who gets the money? Right? So does the money actually go to the poor? Or does the money actually go to somebody else? It's a simple question. If the money goes to the poor, right, then it's an anti-poverty program. If it goes to create jobs for the poor, right, so that they can actually earn the money, then it's an anti-poverty program. But if the money goes to somebody else, then for me, it's hard to call it an anti-poverty program, right? I've seen too much, man. I've seen too much. I've seen the cigarette tax supposed to help pay for the schools. The school's still in debt. I've seen the soda tax supposed to put together a pre-K program. They took the money, did some pre-K for the kids, and put the rest in the general fund. You know, I've seen the liquor by the drink tax that's supposed to help pay for the schools. School's still in debt. I've seen the parking authority supposed to give a portion of the money that they make every year to the schools. School's still in debt. We don't know what the Philadelphia Parking Authority makes. They claim they got all these expenses and administrative costs. So, you know, I've just seen too much, right? And I've learned to really ask some bottom line questions. Who gets the money? That's all. I mean, it's a real simple question. And there should be a real simple answer. Shouldn't be paragraphs and paragraphs and pages and PowerPoint presentation. No. Who gets the money? A, B, and C. That's all. You know what I mean? And if you can't answer that question with an answer that includes the people who are actually impoverished, then stop calling it an anti-poverty program, man. For real. That's just where I'm at. And it's not personal. It's not, you know, me campaigning against people or whatever, because I think that there are some decent people in government and decent people on council and in the mayor's office and everywhere else. But on policy, I can't just stand here and allow my people to believe something that's not necessarily to their benefit. I have to tell them the truth. And so for me, the truth is wrapped up in who gets the money. 215-634-8065 is the number. Let's go to Monica from North Philly on line 2. Go ahead.
Hey, Solomon.
Good morning.
Okay, good morning. So one thing, being a lifelong Philadelphia resident, I know that we do not know and how to communicate the story of what's going on in our community. So I'm listening to the callers, and I hear the sister calling for beds. And I hear no enthusiasm, no questioning about what's going on that our children don't have beds. And when you can't relay that to the politicians and they know you don't care if somebody's porch is painted. You don't care if 2 teenagers have a bed or not, and you're not enthusiastic. You can't tell the story of
Wait,
your
who don't care?
I didn't hear rallying around of making sure that
Patrick said he was going to pay for the beds. There are people at the station who are going to pay for the bed. You don't even know what you're talking about. So, you know, if I am not, you know, you can't control the tone of my voice and what I think and how I say it and all of that. Come on, Monica, stop. You always calling with hate. Bye. We're going to go to break, and on the other side, you know, the bed's already paid for. Like, what are you talking about? As much stuff as I do for this community, you talk about, oh, I didn't hear any enthusiasm about the bed. You give me a break, man. Give me a break. You don't know how much I put into all of this stuff for all of these people in the community, running around the city, giving people different stuff. You don't even know what you're talking about. Please, don't even call me. We're going to go to break. On the other side, we got some other stuff that we need to talk about. Adam Marilis is our next guest. I'm Solomon Jones. We'll be right back.
Hey,
Hey, WURD family. Our friends at Amoroso's Baking Company are hiring right now. Amoroso's has been baking the delicious bread in our community for over 100 years, and they want you to join their team today. The old and the young love Amoroso's, and they are hiring right now. Check it out. They offer fair pay and provide health, dental, and prescription plans after 90 days employment. Call 856-754-0355 or visit amorososbaking.com for details.
Walter E. Sabbath Jr. Funeral Service is an independent family-owned funeral and cremation service that has been serving families for over 27 years. We strive to provide compassionate and quality service for all faiths. For pre-need and at-need funeral service planning with a personal touch, call us day or night at 215-924-4101. At Walter E. Sabbath Jr. Funeral Service, we know that whether families choose burial or cremation, the emotional and information needs are the same. Our combination of a licensed funeral director and social worker enables us to meet families where they are and lead them step by step through the many choices before them. If you are looking for a funeral service deemed by our families to be compassionate and professional, we encourage you to call Walter E. Sabbath Jr. Funeral Service at 215-924-4101. That's 215-924-4101. Or visit us at 7224 Ogons Avenue in the West Oak Lane section of Philadelphia. God bless you.
Tune in this and every Saturday at 3 p.m. for the Let's Talk Fire Safety Show with host Adam Thiel, Fire Commissioner, discussing fire and life safety.
Have you heard about City Council's plan to build more affordable housing, repair existing homes, create jobs, and support small business? The Neighborhood Preservation Initiative will invest $400 million in Philly communities. Read about it at www.phlcouncil.com/NPI.
This is WURD Radio.
96.1 FM.
And 900 AM WURD Philadelphia.
Black Talk Media.
It's Wake Up with WURD. Hosted by Solomon Jones.
Good morning.
Right now on WURD Radio.
96.1 FM.
And 900 AM WURD.
Good morning. This is Solomon Jones, and our next guest is Adam Marolles. He is the president and CEO of Leading Age PA. He joins us to talk about Pennsylvania illegally withholding funds meant for coronavirus relief for nursing homes. Good morning, sir.
Good morning. Thank you for having me.
Now, tell me how to properly pronounce your last name.
It rhymes with Charles. It's Marles.
Marles, okay. All right. I'm sorry. I apologize for that. So tell us about what happened with these funds. Where did the funds come from, and where were they supposed to go?
So I think it's kind of complicated, and the best way that I've come up with to describe it is since 2003, there's been a state law where basically the state has a box, and they collect money from nursing homes every year and put it in the box. It's a designated fund, and then the federal government matches that money, and all of it, state and federal, is supposed to go to nursing homes through the Medicaid program. The match is about 50%. So we put $10 in the box, feds give you an extra $5, $15 go to nursing homes. The first federal stimulus to help with coronavirus included money that the Fed said, you know what, nursing homes need additional help. We're going to put an additional $1 in the match. So it should be $16 coming out instead of $15 to the nursing homes. Rather than all of the money coming to nursing homes, the state seems to be saying, you know what, that extra $1, we're going to put it in the box, but we're going to take one of our dollars back and use it for something else. So the net result is that nursing homes get the same amount that they were getting, and they aren't getting the additional money that the federal government said nursing homes need to help the most vulnerable people during the pandemic get the care and support that they need. And the state's using that money for some other purpose within their budget.
Wow. So do we know what the state is using the money for?
We don't, and we've been negotiating with them literally since March, trying to figure out how we can fix this problem. We didn't want to sue. You never want to sue the government, but we got to this point where they wouldn't be transparent and tell us where the money was going, and the negotiations came to an impasse, and so here we are.
And so what department in Pennsylvania state government is dealing with this money?
This is Department of Human Services.
And so who are the people who you've been in negotiation with? Is it bureaucrats in the Department of Human Services? Is it politicians who represent the people? Who are the people who have been at the table for the state in these negotiations?
It's been entirely folks who work within the administration. So whether it's employees of the Office of Long-Term Living inside the Department of Human Services, or then later on attorneys for the administration, it has not been any elected official throughout the process.
And so you came to an impasse. What did they agree to? Since there was a negotiation, did they agree to anything in terms of this money?
The best they would come to the table with was approximately half of what is owed legally to nursing homes for 2020, and nothing additional. That's an important point here. So the way that this works is the additional enhanced funding should be given to nursing homes for as long as the federal emergency declaration continues. For now, we know that will mean increased funding through at least March of 2021, possibly longer into 21. And what they said was, we'll give you half of what we owe you in 2020 and nothing for 2021, no matter what happens. And that's it's just not reasonable.
What was their rationale for taking the money and not giving it to the nursing homes?
It's hard to tell. The best I can figure is they said, we need the money for other things more than you do. But there hasn't been anything more clear than that said to us. It's just kind of been sorry.
That's crazy. So nursing homes, to be clear, nursing homes and people who work in nursing homes have been disproportionately affected by the novel coronavirus. These are vulnerable people who are dying from this thing at disproportionate rates, are they not?
This has been an extraordinary challenge for nursing homes and everybody in long-term care. So at the beginning, we had trouble, as everyone knows, just gaining access to PPE. We had scared staff walking off the job, worried about what it was going to mean for their health and their family's health. Not to mention, obviously, the residents who need the care, who have been affected both in terms of infection rates and deaths, especially early on, as you said, disproportionately. Thankfully, over time, as we've gotten more PPE, as we've gotten a better handle on how to control this, as we've gotten more testing, we've done a much better job at being able to keep older adults safe. But there's a correlation between having the funding to pay for the testing and the PPE and to pay people, these heroes coming to work every day to keep people safe, and actually keeping people safe. So to say right now, we know we owe you money, we're not going to give it to you, even though we can see that it's helped keep people safe in the middle of the pandemic, is just totally unacceptable.
And so, given now that you have sued, have there been any overtures as to whether they would be willing to settle out of court?
Not a word as of now.
And so how have nursing homes been affected by not getting this money?
In different ways. So I don't know if you're aware in Philadelphia, but in Pittsburgh, an announcement was made last month that one of the best longstanding nonprofit nursing homes in the area, Charles Morris Nursing Home and Rehab, is closing its doors permanently. They said, we just can't do it anymore. They called uncle. There in Philadelphia, Simpson has said, we're taking, well...
Adam's breaking up a little bit. But we're talking with Adam Marles. He is the president and CEO of Leading Age PA. And he joined us to talk about why his organization is leading the charge to sue the state of Pennsylvania due to illegally withholding funds meant for coronavirus relief for nursing homes. So do we have Adam back? Okay, we don't. So I tell you what, we're going to end it there. That was Adam Marles, and president and CEO of Leading Age PA, and it's unbelievable story that he tells about the state taking the money that was supposed to go to these nursing homes and keeping it for their general fund. So Adam is back. Adam, so the bottom line of this, with you suing, your organization suing, what is it that you hope will happen as a result of your lawsuit against the state of Pennsylvania?
I mean, obviously, we hope that they will come to the table and say, we're going to give you what the law says nursing homes are owed to protect older adults during the pandemic. At the end of the day, this isn't about we want the money more than somebody else. At the end of the day, the law, state law is clear. Every dollar needs to come to nursing homes, and these dollars were given by the federal government specifically for keeping older adults safe. We want them to live up to that obligation and do what they're supposed to do.
All right. That's Adam Marles. He's president and CEO of Leading Age PA. He joined us to talk about why his organization is leading the charge to sue the state of Pennsylvania, which is illegally withholding funds meant for coronavirus relief for nursing homes. Adam Marles, thanks so much for joining us this morning on WURD.
I appreciate the time.
Yep, absolutely. So we're going to take your calls, 215-634-8065. That is 215-634-8065. That is the number you can call to get in on the conversation right here at WURD Radio. Let us know where you are on these various things you're talking about. We are talking about on this morning show, 215-634-8065. That is 215-634-8065. That is the number you can call to get in on the conversation right here at WURD Radio. Of course, people can also weigh in on Facebook at onWURD. That's FORWURD, FORWURD. Kawesa, what are people saying this morning on Facebook?
So we do have a couple of comments here. One actually, Latia Hicks is saying, thanks, Adam, for shedding some light on what the government is still doing to the less fortunate. So that is one comment that we have here. And then also another comment from Staporna Nebhard says, good morning, family. This is about a previous topic in regards to, I think, with housing, but the money goes to the developers and the building owners. It has nothing to do with poverty. Shaking my head. Thanks, Solomon, for enlightening us Philadelphians with the truth. So that's another comment that we have here as well. And then Gail Robinson just, making some comments about previously, says, wow, people sit and wait for a word or phrase to activate their hate. You handled that amazingly. So that is another comment that we have here. Winona Hayes Poole is also saying, LOL, well, alrighty then. Always calling and hating by in my Solomon voice. So that's another comment that we have here as well. I know a couple people had commented earlier as well, so I did want to go ahead and grab some of those. Also, I'm just trying to pull them up here. Sandra Field says, good morning, Solomon, Kawesa, and Word family. Money should go to seniors who need help with home repairs. Oh, that's a good comment in regards to, the monies that we've been discussing earlier as well. And then we also have, I just want to give a shout out to Jean Matthew, Rebecca Truxon, Myron Green, Denise Pettis, Rochelle Bilal, all of which have tuned in at one point to listen to the show. Malcolm White is saying, James Brown said it too, talking loud and ain't saying nothing. So that's another comment that we have here as well. And then lastly, Lean Love is saying, Solomon, make sure you get your rest, and if you can, go for a walk. The air makes one feel energized. Stay blessed. So those are a couple more comments that we have on our page.
Yeah, as I said, I'm working on a new book, right? And I'm on a tight deadline for that book. And so this weekend was a crazy weekend where I was literally up like all night. So my daughter is working and she's going to college online. And so she was up doing an all-nighter, but she 19, right? My birthday is next week. I'm not 19, right? So I'm still trying to catch up, but and my wife is on me about like, go to bed, like stop. You know what I mean? So we are going to make sure that we do that today. Got a lot going on today as well, though. And we're going to talk with somebody in a few minutes. Gerald Walker, he's an author of a new book, How to Make a Slave and Other Essays. Actually going to be interviewing him tonight at 7:30 for a special event for the Free Library of Philadelphia. You can go to freelibrary.org/author events to register for that if you'd like to check that out. But we're going to be talking with him in a few minutes. And right now, we got room to talk to you. So give us a call, 215-634-8065. That is 215-634-8065. That is the number you can call to get in on the conversation right here at WURD Radio. Dennis from West Philly is on line one. Go ahead, Dennis.
Good morning, Solomon. How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
All right. Briefly, the issue of anti-poverty legislation and funding in city council, this isn't like a moving target. It's like pretty straightforward. It's to provide housing, education, jobs, health care. It could be like mental health, physical health, and spiritual health. I mean, those things are issues that you should address with this money. Now, finally, the issue with the guns proliferating.
I'm sorry. What was the last thing you said? You said these are the things that what?
I said that the issue is providing adequate housing, education, and jobs, and then health care, mental health, underscore that, and then physical health for the consumers of Philadelphia. And finally, the issue, these issues tie directly into the gun proliferation in Philadelphia. And that has just a perfect time for the new administration to tackle this issue of guns being in the community, access to guns has to be tackled on a federal and state level before the city can actually have any impact on those issues. So thank you very much.
All right. Thank you for your call this morning, WURD. Not quite sure I understood your point, but thank you for your call this morning on WURD Radio. We appreciate it. 215-634-8065. That is 215-634-8065. That is the number that you can call to get in on the conversation right here at WURD Radio and let us know where you are on these various things we are talking about on this morning's show. 215-634-8065 is the number that you can call to get in on the conversation right here at WURD Radio. Let us know where you are on these various things we're talking about on this morning's show. You can also, of course, weigh in on Facebook at ForWord. That's FORWURD, FORWURD, and let us know where you are on these various things we are talking about. Of course, in a couple of minutes, we're going to be talking with Gerald Walker about his new book, How to Make a Slave and Other Essays. I'm going to be interviewing him later on tonight with the Free Library of Philadelphia online. So, Kawesa, the one thing we haven't talked about is the switch from Carson Wentz to Jalen Hurts. What do you think?
I'm here for it. I am here for it. I mean, I think that, you captured it very well earlier this morning. Like it is kind of sad. It is because you don't want to see, somebody being taken out. Like, I mean, when you are, and really in any profession, right? If you are in a specific profession and, you basically don't willfully, tap out and you got someone, basically kind of pushing you out, it's sad, it really is. And so I'm not going to sit here and say that I think that Carson Wentz is this awful, football player or something like that. But I think that, we just need to be able to see what else the team can do. And sometimes that means, sitting someone down and trying someone else out. But I'm here for it. I'm here to see what Hurts can do. I mean, and like I said before, I think earlier this week, it can't hurt, like, no pun intended, but it's not going to hurt us to put Hurts in, like it really won't. So we'll see what happens.
And I'm going to support the young brother. I want to see him do well. I want to see the team do well, and we'll see what happens going forward with that. We are going to go to break, and on the other side of this break, we're going to talk with an author, Gerald Walker. He's the author of the new book, How to Make a Slave and Other Essays. I'll be interviewing him a little bit later on tonight, and we want to talk about it now. So Gerald Walker on the other side. I'm Solomon Jones. We'll be right back.
This health and humanitarian crisis has shaken us all, as neighbors and as a nation. At Bank of America, we came together as a company and as a community with an unwavering commitment to advance racial equality and economic opportunity. We're thankful for the tireless efforts of our employees, partners, healthcare, and essential workers in the communities we serve. And we remain fully committed to the work ahead in 2021. Bank of America N.A., member FDIC, equal credit opportunity lender.
Keystone First VIP Choice HMO SNP Dual Eligible Special Needs Plan has a 4 out of 5 star rating and is one of the highest rated Medicare plans in the region. Keystone First VIP Choice and you are better together. If you live in Philadelphia, Bucks, Chester, Montgomery, or Delaware County, and you have both Medicare and Medicaid, choose the Medicare plan that is working to help you get better care. Enjoy extra benefits at no cost to you with Keystone First VIP Choice. You get benefits like dental, vision, and transportation to and from your medical appointments. They also cover a fitness membership to a gym of your choice. $150 toward over-the-counter pharmacy items. There's no copay for doctor's visits. They offer a large provider network, a great prescription plan, dental coverage, and even eyeglasses. Plus, you don't have to wait for open enrollment. You can change your coverage every quarter. Keystone First VIP Choice. The name you trust, the service you deserve. Call Keystone First VIP Choice today at 1-877-686-1760 or visit KeystoneFirstVIPChoice.com.
A holiday message to help us all and answer an important question.
We will never know how many of our friends and family members didn't get COVID-19 because we followed safeguards. We'll never know that number. This is Dan Hilferty, CEO of Independence Blue Cross, with a simple reminder of how much good we do for others when we protect ourselves. We'll never know how many lives we save because we wear masks, wash our hands frequently, and keep social distance. We'll never know exactly who we help, who we save when we take protective steps each day. We'll only know one thing for certain, that we did all we could to save people from the effects of a pandemic with the potential to overwhelm the region. And that's a nice thing for us to live with. Thank you all. For more on what you can do, visit ibx.com. Together, we are beating COVID-19.
Dietz & Watson has been making premium meats and artisan cheeses for over 80 years. And when it comes to stacking sandwiches and party platters, they've got something for everyone in the family, like maple honey turkey breast, American cheese, buffalo chicken, and more. So get to your local deli and taste 4 generations of family recipes. With Dietz & Watson on the table, you'll have everyone coming back for seconds and thirds. Dietz & Watson, it's a family thing since 1939.
You're waking up
with WURD,
hosted by Solomon Jones.
Good morning.
Right now on WURD Radio,
96.1 FM
and 900 AM WURD.
Good morning. This is Solomon Jones on 900 AM, 96.1 FM, WURD. And I want to welcome you back to Wake Up with Word. Joining us now, Gerald Walker. He's the author of the new book, How to Make a Slave and Other Essays. We'll be talking tonight. I'll be interviewing him for a special event at 7:30 for the Free Library of Philadelphia. Gerald, good morning.
Good morning, Solomon. Thanks for having me.
Yep, it's a pleasure. So what is your book about?
It's a collection of essays, personal essays that pretty much focus on me as a father trying to figure out the complications of raising 2 black boys in a society, navigating the academic world as one of few black faculty, and generally just trying to make my way through this life and come out on the other end in one piece.
The academic world is interesting, and I'm glad that you brought that up, because on the one hand, you know, in many of our institutions of higher learning, there's a lot of liberal theory and liberal thought, and but at the same time, there's racism, and those things kind of coexist side by side. I'm interested in how you navigate that as a black faculty member.
Yeah, I mean, that's the perfect description of it. There's the theory of liberalism and there's the practice of it. And in academia, we get a lot of the theory and very little of the practice. So I have encountered people at every turn in academia who will say one thing about what it means to be an open-minded liberal academic, and then they will treat you in a way that makes you think that they're from the deep South in 1955. So it's a complicated balance. You have to be very careful about the people you reveal yourself to, the people you trust. There are some good people in academia, but it's not as simple as it sometimes is described.
And so I can also relate to you talking about being a black father. Now, you're raising two black boys. I have two daughters and a son. And I'm interested in how you see your job as a father in this current atmosphere where, you know, you've had black folks killed by the police and others in ways that harken back to the 1950s. How do you see your role as a father in this current atmosphere?
My role as a father, number one responsibility is to protect my sons in any way that I possibly can. And sometimes that means giving them some pretty straight talk about what it is they're going to encounter in this life. And sometimes it means getting out and defending them if I have to in person. But perhaps the number one thing is to make sure that they are as educated as they can possibly be and as prepared to be competitive as they can in this world.
Yeah, I think you're absolutely right, and I can't wait to talk about it more. So we'll be talking this evening, and that event, of course, you can go to freelibrary.org/author events to register for that conversation tonight. Gerald Walker, it's been such a pleasure, and I look forward to talking with you a little bit later on.
Perfect. Looking forward to it, Tom. Thanks.
All right. All right. Again, Gerald Walker is the author of How to Make a Slave and Other Essays. How to Make a Slave and Other Essays. Very interesting book by a very interesting author. So I want to hear from you. Give me a call, 215-634-8065. That is 215-634-8065. That is the number that you can call to get in on the conversation right here at WURD Radio. Let us know where you are on these various things we are talking about on this morning show. 215-634-8065. That is 215-634-8065. You can also weigh in, of course, on Facebook at ForWord. That's FORWURD, FORWURD. And let us know where you are on these various things we're talking about on this morning show. Want to remind you that if you want to buy black for the holidays, we've got you covered. WURD Radio is proud to present our virtual holiday marketplace online. Support local, small, black-owned businesses through the marketplace and purchase your holiday gifts today. Go to wordradio.com/marketplace or wordworks.com/marketplace. So you can certainly do that. We want you to engage in that, support our local black businesses and our local black folks, and make sure that you are spending your money in a way that uplifts our community. So 215-634-8065 is the number that you can call to get in on the conversation. You can also weigh in on Facebook at ForWord. So Kawesa, what are they saying this morning on Facebook?
So a few more comments here. Atia Hicks, it's sad about Wentz, but we need some better results. Hopefully Hurts will be what our team needs. Phyllis Williams says, good morning, Solomon and Kawesa and the WURD family. All have a blessed day. Be safe and keep warm. Cedric Milliner says, hey, greetings, WURD family, blessings. Enjoy and have a wonderful day. Mike Jackson, is saying, I wanted the Eagles to draft Hurts. He is going to turn into a very good NFL player. If that was McNabb, he would have been benched 4 games ago. That's so true. And then also Tanya Steffens, I'm sorry if I'm saying your last name wrong, says, good morning, all. Please make another murder mystery like Pipe Dreams. That was when I fell in love. No disrespect, Mrs. Jones. Awesome book. Could not put it down. So that's another comment that we have here as well. And a couple other people did weigh in as well. We have Diane Fassett saying, thank you, Adam, from our earlier conversation. It's really discussing how they do this, and suing doesn't even faze them. Things need to change. Viola Richburg Gray says, Solomon Jones, this has been a fantastic and informative show. And then also I wanted to just say that a couple people did shout out Melanie a little bit earlier. So D. Jones was saying, welcome back to Melanie. And then also Tia Hicks was saying, congrats to Melanie and the fam. Yes, another beautiful Queen Virgo in the world. And then Michelle Tulak-Neal is saying, rapper. In regards to earlier. So those are just a couple other comments that we have. Also, I do want to give a personal shout out to Cheryl Brown as well. Thank you so much for giving a call. Let me know how you're doing. And also good morning to Kia Fisher Copeland as well. She's saying Brother Mumia is being punished because he is a revolutionary that has used his voice to question the supremacists in Philadelphia government. So those are just a few more comments that we have today.
All right. So excuse me. Yes, I was a rapper. I was, right? And that's how I started out, Kawesa. That's how I started writing. I started writing raps. Now, when I was rapping, this is when hip-hop first came out in the 1980s. Like, hip-hop literally invented by my generation. We're just going to take credit for that. But yeah, that's what I was doing in the 1980s. It was the first writing I ever did for anything outside of a classroom, and I fell in love with it. I fell in love with that and with writing, and now I'm working on my 11th book. So yeah, you encourage kids, encourage them, and encourage adults who used to be rappers. Encourage us in our retirement, Kawesa. So no, you're not going.
No, I'm encouraged. I'm sorry. You caught me in the middle of laughing. I'm chuckling over here. Sorry. But you're right. No, everyone needs to be encouraged. But, for me, like, there comes a point, like, you 50, it's time to stop rapping. Yeah, put the pen to paper and use it for something else, But, no, I was just laughing to myself.
Oh, man. I'm a retired rapper. There should be, like, a pension plan for us. Like, you know what I mean? We should get that. I want to hear from you. Give us a call, 215-634-8065. That is 215-634-8065. That is the number that you can call to get in on the conversation right here at WURD Radio. Let us know where you are in these various things we're talking about on this morning's show. And, of course, I do want to remind you that the school year is underway, but never before has that experience come in so many shapes and sizes. Is the education of your child being left to a smattering of clumsy in-person and virtual instruction? The COVID-19 crisis has created a market for untested virtual teaching models lacking true credibility. Maybe it's time to reconsider and exercise your choice. Maybe it's time to check out Commonwealth Charter Academy. Here are the benefits to your family. 1, an online education provided at no cost to you, complete with laptop, headset, and help with internet access. 2, partnership with the market leader in cyber education with a nearly 20-year track record of world-class learning. And 3, delivery of a safe, reliable, and comfortable education experience over the internet directly to the confines of your living room. Visit ccaeducate.me today and discover the gold standard of cyber education. That's ccaeducate.me. So we got about a minute left. If you want to get in, you better do it now. 215-634-8065 is the number that you can call to get in on the conversation right here at WURD Radio. But we are also looking forward to seeing what happens throughout the day, praying for my Philadelphia Eagles, man. That's my team, man. I've been rolling with them since I was a kid, and so seeing Carson Wentz benched, it's a moment of sadness, but I think also a moment of hope, and we'll see what happens with that with Jalen Hurts as well. Got another announcement that we need to make regarding the Philadelphia Eagles, and we will be doing that probably tomorrow. but it has to do with Man Up PHL and our efforts around the city. And so happy to hear from the Philadelphia Eagles that they will be supporting some of that work. So we're going to talk about that on tomorrow's show, and we are so excited about that as well. But that's going to do it for today's show right here on WURD Radio. Want to remind you, join me tonight at 7:30 for a special event with the Free Library of Philadelphia with Gerald Walker, the author of How to Make a Slave and Other Essays. And, of course, I want to thank all of our guests, including Gerald Walker, Adam Marles, dear Melanie, your favorite cousin of mine, and, of course, Lynn Washington Jr. We so appreciate him. And now, for super producer Kawesa Mathis and everyone here at WURD Radio, I am your host, Solomon Jones, saying stay tuned for Reality Check with Charles Ellison, and tune in tomorrow at 7 for more Wake Up with Word. Peace.